G'day everybody and welcome to the House of Mario, the South Australian podcast that is backed by 120 Power Star rating. I'm your host Drew Agnew and the doors to episode 178 are open. This week on the show we're talking about Pyra and Mythra impressions in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and there's some Switch Pro rumours, and the Switch turns 4 years old. Our baby's growing up, Bryce. It's growing up, mate.
That it is. That is.
It is. And to talk all about that is my big old mate. It's Bryce DeWitt. How you going, mate?
Hey, how are you, man?
I'm going well.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I'm here today.
I don't like this bit whatsoever.
No,
all right?
you don't. Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
You've been in such a weird mood since you got here, and I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, you know? Just one of those things.
Okay, so Bryce he's sunburned as hell. He's had his daughter's first sports day.
Yeah.
And since Bryce, he doesn't often go outside, so he doesn't get the concept of sunscreen or the sun.
Mate, no, okay, look.
Okay, all right, here we
to
go.
be fair, it was Friday, right? You remember what Friday was like in the morning?
Yeah, so
It looked like it was going to piss down.
I remember it well.
Yes, it looked like it was going to piss down, and it didn't. It didn't. By about, 12 o'clock, all of a sudden, sun's out shining, and I'm just like, well, shit. I'm stuffed now.
Well, shit.
We all got burnt. All of us got burnt. And I had a joke lined up for my boss if I come in and he and he commented on my sunburn, but he didn't, so I never got to use it. I know.
He just doesn't give. He didn't give a shit.
No, he didn't even notice. I'm just like, well, all right, I guess that joke's wasted.
Yeah, that was. Well, you couldn't share it with your boss, but share it with us now. So pretend I'm your boss, all right, so you're coming into work.
Yeah, right.
Bryce,
Yeah.
you look sunburned as hell, mate. You look like a bit of a red tomato.
Not the angle I was going for, but all right.
What's the angle you want then? You got a very specific angle that this joke was designed for.
Yeah. Well, sort of. All right. It was supposed to be sort of like, he usually makes a quip, right? He usually makes a quip. So just be like, when you're fucking sitting in the oven or something like that,
Yeah.
right? And my reply was going to be something along the lines of like, well, mate, I'll tell you what, the only light that I actually get that's native to my face is that of my LED computer screen at my desk. So going outside for me pretty much turns me into a cherry tomato. All right? And he would have laughed and it would have been a great time. End of the day. Yeah. Because he always makes jokes about how I'm a computer nerd. So there you go.
There you go. Yeah. God, you're a nerd, Bryce.
I'm a fucking nerd, mate. I'm a computer nerd. That's what I'll always be.
I'm not a nerd. I'm a goddamn jock.
Yeah.
I'm walking around here.
Fuck yeah. I mean, he's a jock with his Pokemon shirt on.
Yeah.
What a beautiful man.
My goddamn Nintendo podcast we both do together. We're not nerds.
No, not at all. We don't. We wear this gaming merch for the jokes.
For the jokes.
Ha 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 ha! Look at me, I'm a nerd. Ha ha! Look, yeah, merch. Ha ha!
Wait, actually, to be fair, you got a Final Fantasy 14 one. That's a bit nerdy,
mate. I won this at PAX for being good at the game. All right.
Yeah.
That's an achievement. What did you do? Buy yours on Etsy?
Nah, I bought it at Avcon from the artist alley.
Oh, did you now?
I did. Oh, you're making me embarrassed, bro. I started to go and buy mine. We're not all cool. I can't.
Yeah, now you have to go and win a Pokemon World Championship. Go on.
Oh, Jesus.
See you later.
Hey, that's not as that's a bit harder than just going and beating some random boss at PAX.
Hey, look,
for
mate.
everyone. I could have beaten that boss.
All right. Well, why didn't you?
Because
there's a free shirt in it.
Oh, yeah, maybe I should have. I'm really regretting that now, Bryce. Maybe I should have.
Yeah, you should have just gotten my team. I would have fucking helped you. Yeah. Get your shirt. I wanted to go and grab another one that year, but for a friend who I'd actually met at PAX for the first time.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get one for her because the line was too friggin' long, and I'm like, oh, sorry. I'm like, yeah.
Sorry, I can't be bothered.
Well, she usually goes every year, so like every subsequent year that they've had the boss challenge, like the Final Fantasy boss challenge there, she's always gotten the shirt, and she couldn't go this year, so I was like, I can grab one for you, I'm sure. But between like everything else we were doing and the line being so long, I'm like, I don't have the time. This is, whatever. And then I got down to the last bit of it. I'm like, I might try get one. And they're like, all right, no, the line's cut off. I'm like, fuck. All right. Yeah. Couldn't do much about it.
Yeah, well.
A shame.
Yeah, sucks to be her. I'm sure she could have found one, could have bought one or something.
Yeah, she might have. Yeah. There were people that lined up 7 times and got 7 shirts. They were just giving them away in spades.
Those people are the worst.
Are they?
I don't know.
I mean,
I guess if they run out, they are, but if there's plenty, I guess it's fine.
well, yeah, I don't think they actually ran out of shirts like the entire weekend. And those people that have 7, I mean, they just filled their wardrobe for a year, mate. They don't have to go back and go to Target ever again. They just won 7 shirts.
Turn it inside out. It's just a black work shirt. It's fine.
Yeah, mate. You literally just save money just by going to a PAX convention, and you pay for your ticket and shirts that you earn. Like you got to look at it from the perspective of those are probably $45 a shirt.
Think about it last year. Think of all the people that couldn't restock their wardrobe with free merch and free shirts.
I know.
So they're just wearing like, I've still got my pack shirt from 2019.
Yeah.
Bloody hell. That's a tough order.
It is. Yeah, it's a real shame. I would have loved to gone and got a new shirt to wear. I actually got 2 shirts that year from PAX. 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was the second one?
The Modern Warfare one.
Oh.
And
did you have to shoot someone to get that one?
Yes, I did. 7 people indeed. No, that was actually really good because
In the game, just clarify.
oh yeah, just clarify. Whereas like Final Fantasy 14 was pretty static, and it was like beat this boss, get a shirt, right?
Yeah.
And that wasn't hard for many people that play Final Fantasy 14. It's like, all right, we know how to beat this boss. It's got a couple of changes to it, which it did. But we knew how to circumvent that. No big deal. But the Modern Warfare shirt was very graciously earned by me in a good context. I got partnered up with a guy who could not get used to the game whatsoever. Like it was like 10-minute sessions, right?
Yep.
It was a S&D all the way up until 10 points. So search and destroy. Basically, if you don't know what search and destroy is, it is you've got 1 life. You've got to plant a bomb. One side's got to plant a bomb. One's got to keep him from planting a bomb or defuse the bomb. Mm-hmm. But because everybody's only got 1 life, if you end the round, you can end the round prematurely by killing people. I ended 4 straight rounds in a row by only my kills. So I killed 8 people in a row. And I was getting into the last few rounds, and they were shoutcasting it. And a dude come up to me, and he's just like, hey, bro, look, it's like, you're kind of late in the queue to get like a shirt that's like closer to your size, but we do have some smaller sizes here. Do you want one? Because we're giving them out to, the best plays. I'm like, sweet. So now I've got that kicking at home too.
So what size is,
2XL.
Yeah.
Whereas this was like 3, I think, which is like, it's almost perfect, especially since I've lost a little bit of weight since then too. So yeah, it's about perfect right about now. Probably could use a little bit more of a down, but yeah.
You look good in it, man. Looks, I reckon black's always like a nice colour for people.
Yeah, definitely.
I really like black shirts too. That's why most of my wardrobe is just freaking like gaming black shirts. Especially when you got...
I see a red door and I want it painted black.
Especially when you got friends like in the podcast scene or just content creation, they always put out a shirt. It's like, oh, I'll get that one. And all right, it's a nice black one. And black's just the easiest colour to get a print on.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So you just always end up with these goddamn black shirts.
Yeah, but no, I'm not complaining. Black shirts are nice.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing is I always look like I'm going to work. If I always wear a black shirt all the time, I'm like, yes, nice and black dress. Yes, very good.
You got your black fancy shoes on.
Yeah, bro.
Look like you're going to work in an office.
Yeah, bro. Bro.
All right, Bryce. So that was a fun little bit of an opening, but I want to get into some of the stuff that happened last week and sort of go over it. For anyone that hasn't maybe listened to the last episode that was on the feed, I basically put my feelings out there for the loss of a dear friend of mine, Bobby, the Nintendo guru, passed away due to his
battle with COVID.
Yeah. And finding out about it just absolutely heartbroken, especially since his family and all that thought that he was going to get through it. And I'm not going to go into it too much because I don't know if I can get through it without bringing the whole sort of demeanor of everything down. But Bryce, really appreciative of you that day. You saw the news, and you knew how much Bobby meant to me. And we actually had builders around that day, and there was lots of hustle and bustle. So I sort of just stayed in the bedroom to keep away from the noise and the dust, and I just didn't feel like really talking to anyone.
Yeah.
Because I was just literally fresh off the news, and I heard a knock on my bedroom door. I'm like, I thought it was one of the builders, like asking, where's electricity, or just a question like that, and it was you, and I was just so happy you came over, man. I think it was really kind of you to do that, and that really helped me throughout the day as well. So, thank you very much, my friend.
No, that's okay. I'm constantly worried, just to sort of lighten the mood about it, I guess, a little bit more. Something Game Grumps always call COVID, because it gets demonetized on YouTube, is the Backstreet Boys reunion tour.
Oh,
because they organised the reunion tour during COVID. So during the Backstreet Boys reunion tour, I'm constantly worried about my friends over in the States, and a couple of them have contracted COVID, and a couple of them have gone to the Backstreet Boys reunion tour, and
Jesus.
yeah, I know, and it's terrible. And I'd checked on them a few times during the course of it, and just making sure that they're all right. Not as much as I would have liked, but sometimes life sort of just gets in the way, and you're just like, damn it, like I forgot to ask them yesterday or what have you. And it's very concerning, and you're not sure what the outcome's going to be. And that was sort of exactly what happened with Bobby. And we were all fighting for him. There was a whole community fighting for him, and they were in his corner. They wanted him to get through this, and it had been a long battle that unfortunately he lost, and that's incredibly sad. It's sort of things like that I wish people would see and wake up to the gravity of how bad it is, because I know that the situation in the US at the moment, you have two very separate camps, and that is one that wants it gone, and the other half that doesn't give a shit and wants their freedom. And sometimes things are a bit more important than that. As you watch the numbers go up every day, the mortality rate, 1%, everybody's like, oh, it's not going to affect me, but it affects everyone in some way. 1% of American population is still about 4 million people. That's a lot. And unfortunately, Bobby was one of those 4 million potential victims that had passed from this. And, I'm truly and deeply upset for everyone, including you, affected by the loss of Bobby. I never really got to meet him, but his comments have always been so positive and excellent. And, I've tuned into some of his work. The problem with me is I can't keep a schedule on people's work. So I'm very flip-floppy about how, when I listen to things or get to things or whatever. But, I enjoyed the content that I had, indulged in when it come to Bobby. He was always a very positive person on his shows. On his streams, he was also a very positive person. He had a very dear love of Animal Crossing. That's quite clear. Yeah. He was always looking for the positives in life for what it was worth. And you could tell that just by, the comments and the messages and everything that have come out since that terrible day. As a member of this community, like the Nintendo content creation community, he has been a huge voice of positivity, and it is so sad, so incredibly sad to see somebody like that go. So I know that I wasn't the closest to him, or we never had a personal conversation, but I know how much he meant to you, and especially as a content creator and, somebody to look up to. And, that enough, says a lot to me. If this is the person my best friend looks up to, he's got to be, a fantastic guy as it is. But I saw it from everyone. And, I left some positive messages to him through Twitter during his journey and stuff like that. And, really hoping that he was going to get better as well, because I wanted the opportunity to meet him and, have my own conversation with him, and I never got that. So, to anybody that is hurting I'm so deeply sorry for your loss. It is terrible.
Yeah. But a lot of the positive things that Bobby's done is just he's got such a positive community around him, like you said, and the last couple of days he had his funeral, and his family was nice enough to actually allow that to be streamed as a Zoom call for his close friends that lived in different countries or across the United States and all that. And I stayed up. It was like it's 2:00 our time in the morning, so I stayed up and watched the Zoom call, and there was over 100 people in that Zoom call, all just really hurting, but also just celebrating what that man's done in the past. And it's just it was just really, really nice to see. But just with the positivity he brought to his fans, his friends, his family, it's just really special. And that's something I want to really tribute to him over the next year, 2 years, or however long we do this podcast, Bryce, because I've said it many times before, but we started this podcast because of our friendship together.
Yeah.
A reason to catch up, a reason to share our passion with other like-minded people. And what I didn't expect is just meeting all these fantastic people along the way, whether they're fellow Australians or people on the other side of the world, much like Bobby.
Yeah.
It was a really special thing. So I was thinking about how can we sort of support the Nintendo community, pay tribute to Bobby, and keep going forward with our podcast. And actually, I better just back up because one of the things that Sean Capri, he's a co-host and one of his best friends, put in the letter, sort of sharing the news about his passing, was that Bobby was worried that he was worried that people were going to forget about him. And the way that I thought of how he can never be forgotten, but he won't be anyway, regardless of what we do. But he'll never be forgotten. But I want to pay tribute to him by always giving him a place here in the House of Mario with basically an opening segment. And the idea for this opening segment is called Guru Geek Outs. And this is basically the concept he came up with Sean Capri on their podcast, If We Ran Nintendo, where each week they would start the episode giving a shout out to one of their community members, or just really geeking out on something that they really enjoy over the past week. And this is something, it's just a really nice way to sort of open the podcast, share what they've been enjoying, whether it's about themselves or just putting a highlight on someone in their community that they think are doing really awesome work. Because a lot of the time, I see so many good things from friends of ours, community members of ours, that when we get down and to talk Nintendo, we sort of get in podcast mode, and I forget a lot of things. But this is just a concerted effort to put a highlight on people in our Discord, people making awesome content, or maybe even just people who we've never met before, but hey, that's a pretty cool video. Let's share it. And it's just our way of sharing Bobby's positivity and being able to put that out there. So, yeah, man, I'm looking forward to doing this. And a big thank you to Sean Capri. Of course, this was born out of If We Ran Nintendo, his podcast with Bobby. So I asked for his blessing if this was a thing that he thought would be suitable to do, and he thought it was a wonderful thing to do. So
yeah,
thank you, Sean.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So Bryce, what's your first Guru Geek Out?
My first Guru Geek Out. Well, I'm going to pay an attribution to something that I've been doing, all my life, but I've really sort of started trying to invest time in, and that is drawing. It's for the past week, especially since things are busy or things are happening, and I kind of just need to chill out. It's definitely really drawn me back and maybe focus on something rather than a video game or something like that. Because I don't know if you get this personally, but with video games, I get really analytical, and I need to sometimes I need to chill out from that.
Oh yeah, you need the break every now and again.
I'm sitting there playing Smash Bros on something if I just forward smash this 1 second earlier and then did this, then I could create a string combo, and There's a lot of shit like that going on in my head over like multiple video games. So as much as like video games are a relaxing time for me, it's also not, always relaxing. It's not relaxing my brain. My brain's always constantly active. So, over the last few years especially, I've been, really admiring people's talent and artwork and stuff like that. And I really wanted to sort of work on myself and, do that, whether it be like fan art of things or, my own unique stuff or whatever. And, seeing news like Mythra and Pyra, for example, was kind of just like, I'd like to do that someday. I'd like to go and draw them, and sort of work on that, do a unique piece that I could sort of add to the pile of like amazing work that people have done. So, I guess that is my thing for this week is that, while it's not necessarily 100% in the usual medium that I do, it can incorporate that medium in such a positive way that, I can still enjoy it while working on something that, I can get better and improve at and, push forward with. So, yeah, and especially this week that's been really prominent with all, sort of the busyness going on in life and, the changes that are happening when it comes to the kids or, work.
I always love it when like you send a bit of your progress and just like, hey, check out this, I drew this. I'm like, oh, like, you're a really good drawer and,
Yeah, but my one problem is that I'm a perfectionist too. So like I always think, shit, that could be better, that could be better, that could be better. But, that's a part of the process and I realize that. So, yeah.
Yeah. My first Guru Geek Out, I couldn't think of anyone better to do this. I don't know if he's actually got this before because it was on his own podcast, but Sean Capri, just an absolutely fantastic content creator. I haven't had the opportunity to talk to him myself, but it's sort of through, I guess it was kind of Sean who helped me find Bobby in the first place. Because it's kind of a weird story. Like, this is how things work out in the world and how you sort of meet people. It's kind of crazy. But one of my best mates, Seamus Mullins, he met Sean Capri through Kind of Funny's Facebook group. Seamus Mullins went on Sean Capri's podcast, We the Gamercast. And then Sean Capri and Bobby do a podcast together. And I found Bobby's content because Seamus was guesting in one of the episodes. And I sort of just saw Bobby and went, oh, this guy's talking Nintendo. I'll listen. I like Nintendo. And I've sort of just listened ever since. So that's sort of like, I guess, like the weird sort of like connections we have to finding them.
Yeah.
And listening to Bobby, then obviously Sean's on the podcast as well. And really, he's just such a likable guy. So I was just instantly drawn to him. And after supporting their Patreon, Sean does a podcast on there called the Pants Patreon podcast, where he basically just talks for half an hour and updates people and answers people's questions. And it's always just like a fun, light, airy sort of discussion. He does an absolutely fantastic job at solo podcasting and just a really awesome content creator. So just a big shout out to him. If you're into Xbox, he does an Xbox podcast called The Xbox Drive, where he's a friend, Ryan Turford, and him basically do it just like an Xbox podcast, go over the news and stuff. But the sort of the twist on it is that Sean's driving to work in his car. And it just throws me off because like the audio doesn't sound like he's in a car or anything. I don't know if that's through editing or what, but it's just really smart idea. And We the Gamercast, where I don't know if he's gone back. I think he went back to weekly for it, but he has a new guest on just to sort of talk with a stranger on the internet about games and things they enjoy and all that. It's just a really fun podcast, and so definitely go and check that out.
Yeah,
Sean's a legend. So Sean, thank you very much for allowing us to do this, and hope we make you proud, man. So I got a couple more. I just want to shout out some guys in our Discord as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because whenever people reach out to us, it always means a lot to me. Because our relationship with you guys listening, we're pretty much your old grandma waiting for someone to come over and say hello. We're always putting ourselves out there. It's a one-way street. We go, good day, how you going? Let's talk some Nintendo. And that's bloody wicked. And you go on with your day. But every now and again, some of you guys go, all right, we need to go and give grandma a visit. They haven't heard from us in a while. So the first person I want to give a shout out to is Cappy. He's in our Discord community, and he's quite young, so it's really quite sweet how he's always like posting pixel art and all this stuff that he's working on.
Yeah.
In there, and he's always like sort of giving us a bit of a confidence boost because he says that we're his favorite podcast. I'm like, wow, that's an incredibly special thing.
That is, yeah.
It really is.
Considering how many, other Nintendo podcasts you could turn to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So definitely appreciate that. And the other day he said he misses Smash Talk. And I'm like, oh yeah, that was a thing we did.
Yeah, it was.
Smash Talk. So we'll be bringing that back when we talk about Pyra and Mythra.
Pyra Mythra, yeah.
I was about to say
Myra and Pythra.
I was about to say that, Jesus. So thank you very much, man. Big shout out to you. And another shout out to a Discord user that reached out to me called Baker Boy.
Baker Boy.
And he reached out to me. He's a farmer from Queensland who listens to the podcast on the tractor.
All right.
So he's a sugar cane farmer, and he was talking to me, and he's basically saying that we don't have a sheep or anything down here. It's very different and all that. And I just thought it was such a cool thing that there's like another Aussie farmer out there who's like doing what I do. Like I'm on the tractor, I'm listening to the podcasts I listen to, but there's someone out there doing the same thing who like listens to us.
Yeah.
Ramble about Nintendo, and it was such a cool thing. So I definitely appreciate that, Baker Boy. That was a real highlight. I think I was just like editing an episode or doing something like that on the computer, and it pops up. I'm like, oh, who's this? Like, just out of nowhere, but it was just really nice and sweet.
Chat.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
So very nice. All right. So that's all the Guru Geek Outs I've got for this week, Bryce.
There you go.
Yeah. And Robbie, thank you very much just for all the positivity and everything you've given the Nintendo community and even the video game community at large. I really, really appreciate it, and I always love you. Thank you, Bobby.
Very well said, my friend.
Thank you. All right, Bryce. So brand new DLC characters that come out and for Super Smash Bros. Pyra and Mythra, and from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. A lot of people might not know who these characters are, so including myself, to be honest. I knew of them, but I haven't played through the game yet. So just give us the sort of bio for these characters, and then we'll jump into how they play in the new Smash game.
All right. This is a little bit difficult to talk about, mainly because the character in itself is a major spoiler. So.
Yeah, okay. Do your best then.
There's a lot more to the character, so I won't go too far into it, sort of thing. But if it hasn't convinced you to play Xenoblade Chronicles 2, please do, because that game is, one of the most complicated yet satisfying to pull off JRPGs I've ever played. Mainly because it works on one systems and just improves like the flow of combat, I guess. It's a lot cleaner, a lot nicer, and it's got a good story attached to it, which is good. But anyway, so Pyra Mythra, back when they were talking about, we couldn't put Xenoblade Chronicles 2 in. The main argument was like, where's Rex, right, for Smash? Now,
so Rex being like the main protagonist,
yep. And you've seen him if you watched the trailer. You've seen him. In game, if you've used the character at all or seen the character played, you've seen Rex in some form because Rex is in the finishing screens and the taunts and all that stuff. So, to put it bluntly, they put Rex in as a Mii costume and hoped that would be enough, but a lot of people were still in the support for having another Xenoblade rep in there because, there's a lot of Shulk fans and Xenoblade fans in general, and it is one of Nintendo's like premier lineups for JRPGs.
Yeah, it is their JRPG.
Yeah. So it is. It was kind of like kind of needs to be in there. Needs to be represented. Xenoblade needs to be in there. So it's sort of come to this point, and they were like, well, we've already ruled out Rex, but what's the next best thing? And the best thing was to put Rex's partner in the game, and this would add. Another female option for DLC, which is something that, hasn't happened a lot throughout the DLC, except, obviously, Min Min. I think that's it, right?
You got Byleth and stuff too.
Oh, Byleth as well. Yeah.
But, it's both.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Whereas, like, in terms of pure female options, that's it. Unless you want to count Kazooie, but it's
Yes.
So it does sort of like even it out a little bit more, which is nice. I like the representation that they've got going on from all sorts of different backgrounds there. You've got a high school student, and then you've got a fight tournament master, and then you've got a bear. You've got a girl. Yeah. But no. So this was a really good option, honestly, as a DLC character, because bio-wise, right, they're Rex's partner. You never play as them unless you get the DLC, but I won't, again, go into that. You never actually play as them in-game. You swap between blades. So they are technically blades. You can swap between 3 of them in game. That is how it is. They're sort of just an option. You don't even have to use them technically, but they are a major focal point to the story. So Pyra / Mythra is the Aegis of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which is similar to the Monado from Xenoblade Chronicles 1 in that it is, a legendary weapon that, has secrets that need to be discovered and all that stuff to utilize to its full potential. That's what, never would have guessed Xenoblade. It's in the title. That's kind of what it represents, right? And Pyra is the part of the blade that is more humanoid, obviously, and she has her own weapon attached to that. Same with every other blade in the game. They have their own actual physical form and their weapon to go with it. Drivers, which in Pyra Mythra's case is Rex, use the weapon, and the blades give the power to use that weapon more effectively.
Yeah.
So that is how it sort of works. But throughout Xenoblade Chronicles 2, you see Pyra and Mythra use their weapons a few times, but never as a primary. Not until Torna, anyway, which is a prequel. So Pyra had been asleep for however many years. I think it was like 500 odd years. And Rex is commissioned by a group called Torna to go on an expedition as a diver, which is his like primary job. That's how he makes his money. To go and collect something off of a sunken ship. And it actually turns out to be Pyra's blade. Upon touching the blade, what he was specifically not asked to do, he is killed, and then he is brought back to life by a sacrifice by Pyra, and from then on they are linked for the rest of the game. Like, that is their thing. Pyra gave up some of her life force in order to save Rex's life, in the promise that he will take her to the top of the world tree, which is like the center point of the entire map. And from there on, you sort of go across your adventure and all that. And during, one of the earlier chapters, you actually find out that Pyra is not the original form of the blade. The original form is actually Mythra. And basically what had happened is Mythra wanted to lock herself away because she's the Aegis, the strongest blade in existence. She wanted to lock herself away so no one may able to use her ever again for any evil or intensive purposes, and created Pyra in a stead to act as a buffer. And so during one of the earlier chapters, Mythra awakens when Pyra asks her to, wake the fuck up and help us because we're in trouble. And then you find out that there's actually 2 different personalities in this blade. One is Pyra, one is Mythra. So that is, I guess, just a little tidbit. I highly recommend you play the game because, again, it's one of the most engaging JRPGs. A lot of people seem to give up in the first couple of hours, which I understand because it does take a while to kick up. But when it does kick up, fantastic game. So Sakurai thought, I guess, let's put these in Smash instead, since we've already memed Rex with the Mii costume. Can't really do it now, can we? So that seems to be the general rule now, doesn't it?
I'm sure if he really wanted to, he could be like, all right, I'm going to bend the rules here. I'm going to put him in anyway. But
he could have, but as he described in the Nintendo Direct, he's kind of like, we didn't really want another scenario of having 3 switching characters. And the only way to make that work with Rex is to have technically a stand-in character and 2 switching blades, which is still a lot of work. It's basically Pokemon Trainer, but opposite. You would have Rex on the field, and then Mythra and Pyra in the background feeding him the power to use the blade.
Yeah.
So I guess this is, the next best thing, and it's something that doesn't, again, happen at all during a playable sense during the entirety of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, is you being able to play as Pyra and Mythra and use their weapon and, pull off the stuff that they do. But you can in Smash, which is nice. You could during Torna, because Torna has a unique battle system, which is kind of weird in comparison, I guess. But so this is the first time we've actually been able to use them in that sort of competitive. Well, at least Pyra, because it's. I don't know. I hate explaining timelines. But it's the first time in that sense you can use Pyra for a competitive sense.
Yeah.
And I'm glad, because when they are showcased off actually using their weapon and stuff like that, they're very flashy. They look really cool. Their moves look really something else. So I was excited. I was like, this is going to be awesome, because I know this is going to be flashy as hell. And surely enough, during the presentation, they're really flashy. And, that being said, a lot of people are just like, oh, that looks fucking overpowered. What's going on there? And I mean, I see the drawbacks, and I saw them in the direct as well. I see the drawbacks to using the character and stuff like that as well. But as an actual unit itself, I love playing the character. The character is a lot of fun.
I do too. And I actually went into the character blind, because the Sakurai Presents happened like at an early time in the morning, and the character came out before I had the opportunity to actually watch it. So I'm like, oh well. I just never got around to it. I just played the character straight away. So I actually didn't know anything the character did, and that was probably a first since ever, I think. I don't think I've ever gone into a Smash character completely blind. I sort of just pressed the buttons and did especially Mythra's side B, where she just does all the the darts across the screen. I'm like, oh my
Photon Edge.
I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah. And a lot of people thought that too, but it's easily stoppable, because projectiles interrupt it pretty easily. They can't destroy projectiles, so Mythra gets hit by the projectile no matter what. That being said, though, there's a lot to this character that stays really true to the actual game. Like Photon Edge, like you described, is something that gets used as, I think it's a level 2 special, which is really cool. You've got what's it called? Pyra's up B. I can't remember what it was called. Well, attack names aside, all the Bs are based on their specials. So, of course, apart from down B, which is to switch the character, but side B, up B, and standard B are all based on their specials in game, whether it be level 1 charge, level 2 charge, or level 3 charge. The reason this character appeals to me a lot, I think, is probably because of Shulk. And the reason that is because playing Shulk, you need to know when to have Buster on. You need to know when to have Smash on. So basically, it's the same thing, except you're just switching entire characters and editing the play style a little bit, because obviously Pyra's slower than Mythra. So it's very much the same sort of thing, which is good, because I'm already used to that play style anyway, thanks to my plenty of hours with Shulk.
I always say Shulk as well, but it's got a big U there, so I don't know.
Yeah, Shulk, get stuck in. Yeah, sorry. I have to do it every time. Every time I say Shulk, I'm like, no, it's Shulk, because every time I think of Ryan, I'm just like, Shulk, get stuck in. Anyway,
you say the U, and it just automatically reminds you of the accent. You're like, Shulk!
That's it, Shulk. Anyway. With Pyra being sort of more weighty and smash, she can knock off people so easily, really, really easily. But with the delays and stuff like that, it is quite the switching between Mythra and Pyra. So unless you can get used to switching to that on the fly, it is harder to master. Definitely. Much like how with Zelda and Sheik, they had different purposes. One was sort of more close combat and combo-y, and one was more meant for ranged sort of thing. And having that power in one character, you could probably see that as a bit too much. I know that they've never been super top tier like Sheik and Zelda when they were a combined character, but you can see where that could get a little bit iffy. Whereas in comparison to this, where they've still got to be a melee range, and the only thing that's really changed is like, one's slower attacking and the other one's faster attacking. It's a little bit more balanced.
Yeah.
Which, because, no matter what, you're always going to have the same danger, right? And that is counters and being off edge, because their recovery is not great, as you probably have noticed.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Unless you use Photon Edge, but even then, Photon Edge on Mythra can be interrupted by a projectile very easily, so you can still keep her quite off the edge. It is definitely more of like, when you're looking at them in the weakness terms, Mythra is weak to projectiles, and Pyra is weak to counters. She's very weak to counters because she can immediately kill herself with them. Which is interesting because that, among the sword fighter cast, everybody's, they're like, oh, there's so many sword fighters, but a lot of them have a counter. So if you're going up against another sword fighter and it's, Marth or Lucina or Roy or whatever, anything that can quick counter that fast, or even Shulk, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It is extremely punishing to try and use Pyra's smashing too much against them. So in which better case you'd be better off playing Mythra, but Mythra's kill power is very, very low. Like, the chances of you killing under 100% are very, very low. You would have to do it with the charged B, which again is sort of going back to the conjecture of like, that is a slow attack to pull off. Or you would have to combo them off the stage, which again, if you do that, her recovery is terrible, so you have to be able to make sure you can make it back still. So, it's quite balanced overall as an experience. Like, obviously, with Mythra being as fast as she is, and her combo reliance is really great. But with her being so easily interruptible, and not able to kill that early, it's quite balanced. Whereas with Pyra, the delay in attacks from switching from Mythra can be quite jarring to like a lot of people, because you're misjudging yourself, and her power to equate to that, as well as her side B as well. Like, the only true ranged attack they have in their kit, apart from Mythra, is up B, which is neither here nor there.
I actually quite like that one.
Yeah, I do too.
Like, not knowing what it does. Like, if you let it go straight away, it just does like one solid shot. And then if you hold it in a bit, it just like does more of a scatter shot.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. And just like doing stuff like that and like actually discovering it myself, I'm like, oh, that's cool. I don't know, apart from the actual like, I guess like the scatter shot and just like the full shot of it. I don't know if it sort of has like any other effects from doing it. Do you know?
No, I don't think it does. It just widens the area.
Yeah.
But I think they're pretty balanced, right? Overall, as sword fighters, a lot of people thought they were going to be absolutely bullshit with the amount they can switch it up, but realistically, they're very much the same character with B changes, which not a lot of people in Smash use B because it's not great for combos 90% of the time, and most of Smash's combos. Blame the bubbles. Anyway, but the one thing I would say that's probably bullshit over the entire character, the one absolute bullshit thing that is, pretty much a guaranteed kill at certain percentages. It's hard to avoid. It happens so fast. Is probably Pyra's up B. That thing is extremely strong.
I love doing the up B. Well, if you get like knocked in the air, feel like you're off screen or whatever, so you do up B and you come down like a meteor and it just hurts your opposition so bad.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, it is amazing. Like it's an awful recovery move. If you're like in game, like 1 meter away from the stage, like you can get there, but it's a bit like Incineroar, where it's just like fucking just like if you're going out, you're going to go out with style.
Yeah,
you just got to
absolutely.
smash off that stage.
Yeah, yeah. But in comparison, like, you know, with Incineroar's being the way it is, you actually don't get much out of it for landing it on a person in comparison to Pyra, whereas Pyra's is very easy to aim. It is so incredibly easy to aim, and it can kill as low as like 60-something, depending on the character. It is really, really strong.
Yeah, it's kind of like Ike's up B in some way, but you come down just with like just raining fire.
Absolute force. You know, because once you catch them in the sword, that's it. Like, you're going to get hit by the second part of it. There's no way around it. Same way as Ike's again.
I want to see it in an 8-player Smash.
My God, can you just imagine a spamming up B Pyra? Like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Because up B Ikes are worse enough. Like, I remember our friend Ryan back in high school when we play at lunchtime and stuff, and that's like one of the things he did. Just again and again, it's like, all right, this is yeah. It's just, and that's all you can hear is just Ike screaming the whole match because it's just up B, up B.
Yeah,
At least Pyra is a bit more respectful. She's a bit quieter.
But yeah, no, overall, like the time that I've had with the character has been really solid, and definitely something I can sort of add to my roster. And because I love the character as it is, you know, perfect. They did the Sakurai adage like they did with my Shiranui and be like, this game is for kids. So they actually censored him a little bit, but a lot of people seem to be reveling and being like, I actually like this better.
So what did they censor?
So they got rid of they actually changed this in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 before it ever hit Smash. But in Smash they edited Mythra's spirit.
Oh, that's right. I remember this now, yeah.
Yeah, to cover the boob window and give her tights.
Yeah.
They actually put that costume in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 like quite a long time ago now.
Okay.
Just as like, oh, you know, we actually like this design.
Like after Smash?
Yeah, after the Smash spirit came up.
You're right, yeah.
And they were like, oh, we actually like this. We're going to put this in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And they're like, yeah, as they sort of edited it, they're like, yeah, do it. Yeah, so they did that. They actually added that costume to the game. And a lot of people liked it.
Yeah.
So it hasn't actually bothered people at all that is her primary costume in Smash. Like, it sort of makes her a bit more respectable as, you know, not just what people would be like, oh, boob!
Yeah. Like... just hearing like people's sort of, you know, opinions when Pyra and Mythra got announced. A lot of Xenoblade Chronicles fans over the moon as they would be. Other people were like, oh, you know, this is boring. Where's my big third party character, Crash Bandicoot or whatever? It's like, all right, you know, you do you, have fun with that. Who knows, might get it one day, might get their appetite done. But then also heard from a lot of people being like the character's cool. I'm glad Xenoblade's in there, but it's kind of a shame that it's just like very fan servicey, like, you know, boob character. It's like, I don't know. I never had a problem.
No.
I never had a problem with that because, you know, I'm not against that, and
No, neither.
I never really see it and just see boobs. Like, you know,
No, neither.
There's a lot else going on with the characters. So
Yeah, that's right. I like character designs.
yeah,
You know, and they're good character designs for what they're worth. I know that. Well, hang on for a second. Pyra also got a change as well, and then she was given tights to sort of cover up the fact that she's, you know, wearing quite short shorts.
it's a lot colder in Smash Brothers land, so you got to put some tights on instead of some shorts.
But yeah, they put tights on her anyway. So you know, despite the fact, right, you know, those characters are going to be what they want to be, and I know a lot of people criticized some designs from Xenoblade Chronicles 2 pretty heavily, and I think the main prospector of that was probably Dahlia, which is one of the summonable blades. And that's because her character was literally just big ass, big tits, and that was it. Right? But Pyra and Mythra are, like, by any source of a doubt, they're not that. Right? They're some of the better designed characters in the game, along with characters obviously like Rock, or, you know, Zeke and Pandoria, or, you know, Neon, Dromark, or I prefer his Japanese name, which is Byako. But you know, there's a lot of good character designs in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and Pyra and Mythra are definitely among them, but people tend to focus on what happened at the launch, and they looked at Dahlia and, you know, a couple of designs that were similar, and they were like, ooh, fan service. And it's so uncommon in that game in comparison to everything else that game is worth that it makes me depressed. So when people started commenting about Pyra Mythra in this, they're like, oh, they're very fan servicey. I'm like, first of all, you've got no idea. You haven't played the base game. There is worse.
So it gets worse than this, bro. Don't worry about that.
There is a lot worse. But in saying that, you know, those characters are so few and far in between that it really doesn't matter. You can just ignore them for the rest of the game. They're not top tier or anything. Most of these like really fan servicey characters, they're not top tier and they're not going to carry you through the game or anything like that. You know, they're just there.
They're very much like, you know,
they're very much
in the
like,
background.
Yeah. We're going to put you here. You're there. Thanks, mate. You know, that as much as what they are. So with all the people that are like, you know, oh, this is for fan service and rare, like, I don't agree. I really enjoyed the story of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 a lot, and the characters are a lot more than just fan service, which is, you know, a shame to see them just passed off by people who look at them and go, that's fan service.
Honestly, like, just looking at the characters and not knowing exactly like their story and all that, I'm yet to play through the game. But for me, it's like the right level of fan service. Like they're not cringe. They don't have like they don't have breasts and all this just falling everywhere. You know, like a lot of stuff you can see in anime where they go really far with it. Where the female character or even the male character and like their appendage is just like boggle. Yeah, and you hear like the actual sound and that's like, oh, that's pretty cringe.
Yeah.
Like, but honestly, with these characters, they're like the right level of just like aesthetic prettiness.
Yeah,
and
that's
like,
right.
They got a bit of cleavage, and that you know, in some of the costumes and that they got like a bit of a high skirt or whatever. That's pretty tame.
Yeah, that is.
That's pretty tame.
It is.
Yeah. It's not like Nathan Drake or something where he's got a nice long jumper on and all he shows is his hands and his face. God forbid.
I like to imagine these people that are complaining about it have Twitter accounts literally just to follow Smash Bros. News. I'm like, have you explored 90% of Twitter? Honestly. There is a lot of shit on Twitter, man. There's far worse than this.
I came across something very eye-opening on Twitter today. I'm not even going to say it on the podcast. I'm like, oh my God. It reminded me that, yes, nudity is allowed on Twitter. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Yeah.
So
you know, it doesn't, like, at the end of the day, like, putting a character in like that and being like, oh, it's very fan servicey. I'm like, well then what other character do you want in the game?
Yeah. And the thing is, most of these people are like, that they want, like, say, Crash Bandicoot or someone in there. Crash Bandicoot doesn't even wear a shirt. Well, he's got gloves and pants on.
Oh, Crash.
What bloody bukkake party do you reckon he's going to?
Bukkake party. Holy shit. But yeah, I do think a lot of the sourness is probably attributed to that too, though, but I'm kind of over it.
A lot of people just, they don't get hype when it's just a Nintendo character.
No, they don't.
And it's just like, it's about being a third party. And I get that. Like when Joker was announced, it's like, wow, wasn't expecting a Persona 5 character to be in Smash.
No.
Or even Banjo-Kazooie. Obviously, that's one people wanted for years. And it seemed pretty unlikely because it's now owned by Microsoft. But when it's just like, oh, it's a Fire Emblem character, like, I get it. But I got to be honest, this is probably like my second favorite DLC character just to use.
Yeah.
Like, they're a lot of fun to play. I don't know. It seems to be the least excited the outer gaming community is. I'm like, wow, these characters are way more fun. Like, I'm not even like the biggest Three Houses fan or the biggest Xenoblade fan, but they're just a lot of fun to use in the game. So
they are, yeah, that's right. And you know, at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. But because Smash announcements have become such a sensation of like, oh my God. It's fucking Glover.
I can't even think of anyone.
Glover will do. It's Glover. He's going to be in the game. Oh my God. It's just like, holy shit, guys. Like, you know, that's cool. You know, and like I was hype as shit when, you know, Joker was out and stuff like that. And I never thought that was going to happen. I'm like, whoa. But does that devalue what I like about Nintendo when it's something by Nintendo is put in?
No.
Like, I'm gonna be just as happy that like a Xenoblade rep's getting in. I was just as happy about Byleth getting in, even though we've got that many fucking characters. But I really like Byleth, you know, as a character in general.
I wonder how many people that aren't like big
Min for fuck's sake.
Yeah, Min was awesome. I loved seeing arms representation in it. But
Yeah.
I wonder how many people are actually playing Smash, like currently, that like wouldn't be like, for example, like if Crash Bandicoot comes back, all these people on Twitter, are they going to be like, yes, Crash is back? Are they going to like buy, you know, the second pass, going to be playing it and all that? Like probably not. They just want the hype.
Yeah,
and I get that. I get that. That's like 60% of gaming these days.
Yeah. It's Smash. Look, it's Smash's prestige. It's like being immortalized in gaming in some respect, right? Like, this is the biggest Smash game they're ever going to make, probably. If they ever do it again, I doubt they would ever get it, you know, done the same way ever again. As such, you know, this is probably going to become the premier, the premier backup Smash, I guess, because everybody's still obsessed with Melee. But, you know, this is probably going to be the premier Smash for, what's it called?
For the competitive scene?
Yeah, I guess so, because there's going to be so many different matchups, because there's so many fucking characters in the game, right? There's always going to be some sort of uniqueness to it.
What does this bring us to? Do you know off the top of your head? It's like
70-something.
Yeah, it's like a dumb amount of characters.
It's huge. It's like if somebody, it's like Super Smash Flash, for fuck's sake. Like, it's absolutely mad. And you know, like, Smash Ultimate in the future is going to get like a Project M mod, and then people are going to be playing the fuck out of that. It's going to become Melee 2, honestly, because there is that much in there in the game, and modders will have a field day with balancing it and adding new shit to the game, and, you know, probably editing the entire game to be more Melee speed and shit like that, you know. It's going to last a long time because it's going to be the most varied Smash Bros. Of all time. And Sakurai said that. It's never going to happen again. You know, the chances of it happening again are so minuscule that, you know, you might as well just count your luck now. It's never going to...
So someone's going to ask him on Twitter, being like, hey, when's the next Smash Bros. Game coming out? Sakurai's just going to reply. You're going to click on Google Translate. It's going to like load up for a second, but it's just going to say, bruh, no. Just like, it's not happening, man. I don't know.
That being said, like, I want this game to survive forever.
Oh yeah,
you know, it. In terms of what you've said before, you're like, you're like, personally, I think I enjoyed the way that Wii U works more. You know, like you got more enjoyment out of Wii U because you just felt.
Yeah, I got to just clarify that is very much just a place in my life I was in 2014, where it's just like, you know, pretty fresh out of high school, got a lot of time, very hyped for this new Smash Bros. Game, and just like the lead up to that game was just
huge,
unrivaled hype.
Yeah.
I've never been that hyped for anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, that might be a lot to do with it. But
so nostalgia in the same way that most people look back at Melee and go, I want that again.
Yeah,
which I understand, right? But
I dare say you feel similar in that lead up and everything.
Yeah, by all means.
I'm not saying the mechanics are better because they definitely added a lot of cool things in Ultimate, which is really good.
Yeah. Anyway, so really, you know, this is the game that will carry on outside of Melee. It will be the one that has like the documentary made about it and its competitive scene and, you know, all that shit.
Yeah.
You know,
maybe some different people in this new doco, but
of course. But you know, it's gonna have like that push forward, because it will never happen again in the same way. Like, you know, having such a large collection of characters in this game. To be honest, like I could see this game being ported to the next 3 Nintendo consoles just to keep it relevant, and I think people would buy it every time. I don't think people would not buy it every time. You know, make an ultimate collection.
I've already got a pre-order for the next 3 versions coming to the next 3 Nintendo consoles.
That's exactly right, yeah.
I went to EB Games, like, can I put a purchase down? So what do you want about? It's like,
the next 3 Smashes.
Just take my $8 3 times, please.
But yeah, you know, it is, you know, as big it's already huge. And like the third-party characters, this is what I was coming down to, by the way, after all that rambling. All the third-party characters and stuff like that, you know, all of them being added, and the uniqueness they bring to the game is absolutely awesome. But at the end of the day, Smash is a celebration about video games primarily, but it's also under the Nintendo brand. So for them to completely ignore the Nintendo brand throughout the entirety of these 2 passes was never going to happen. You know, obviously in our first Fighters Pass, we got Joker, Terry, Banjo, Hero. Who am I missing? There's one more. Byleth, right? One of those is a Nintendo character, right? This one, we've gotten Min Min, Pyra Mythra. That's it, right?
No, we've got 4 characters. Trying to remember them. Because we've got 2 left and there was 6 all up. So we've got 4. We got Min Min. Jesus.
Yeah, I just mean like in terms of Nintendo characters. We've gotten Min Min, Byleth,
might be, yeah.
Pyra Mythra. I think that's it for Nintendo characters. Out of the 8 or 9 we've gotten now. So 3 out of the 8 or 9. That's still not too bad. Considering, like, you know, you've got to consider that Nintendo's got to pay these people for their characters. You know, there's still money.
Yeah, contracts. Yeah.
Contracts, you still got to pay the people to make the characters, the developers, you know. They're probably not making a hell of a lot of money off of third-party characters.
Yeah. I always just come down, I guess, to wrap this conversation up before we get into the news. To me, it just seems kind of weird to ignore, like, your premier RPG series, one that launched on Switch, a character a lot of people in the fan base want to see in the game, and just putting in like we just come back to this character all the time, but putting Crash Bandicoot over that character, it just seems like, so why would you? I know like it will have a big pop on social media and stuff, but
you know. Especially since Crash was relevant in the GBA, I think the GameCube.
Yeah,
GameCube.
He had games on it. Yeah.
So the GBA, the GameCube, and the Switch. I think that's it. Right. And there's 3 systems that Crash has been on.
Yeah, you would obviously put it in for his original trilogy that was on the PS1. I dare say you wouldn't be like, oh yeah, those are.
But that original trilogy has only just hit a Nintendo console like recently. You know, the games that he was first introduced in, which albeit remastered and remade or whatever you want to call it, have only just hit a Nintendo console recently. So it is, you know, quite a bit weird to forefront that before anything else, when I'm pretty sure like every single one of those characters in the Fighters Pass, except for Joker maybe. I think Joker's the only one that has had like a main game from their series on a Nintendo console. Right. And I think Joker was just the exception to the rule because it was fucking crazy popular at the time. Persona 5 was massively popular at the time. And like an announcement like that would just like throw people out the window like, whoa. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to get people to buy that first pass, sight unseen. That's a good way to do it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Sakurai seemed to be a pretty big fan of the series too, so that helps.
Yeah.
When the director's like, yeah, bugger it, we'll put him in.
And he said that himself, you know, like if they approach him, they're like, you make this character, and if he can see it, he'll be like, no. Or yes.
Farrakhan was like, you put in that Joker boy.
Well, he's just like, yes, I know exactly what Joker would do. Perfect. Whereas with Crash Bandicoot, he might have just been like, what does Crash do? He jumps on things, he spins.
A lot of spinning. I could imagine a lot of spinning.
He slides.
He would be fun. He would be a fun character. I think there's like B to spin, and you can like you know, move left and right, and you can do like a sort of like a stomp, kind of like Ganondorf does when he's in the air, stuff like that. I can imagine that. Obviously not being as strong as Ganondorf, but
well, no.
I think he would be a fun character, and like genuinely, like I know, give him a lot of shit on this episode, but if Smash does get announced, not Smash, if Crash Crash got announced, I actually would quite like seeing him.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that I wouldn't, but I'm saying it from the perspective of Sakurai's eyes of like, you know, that's time and investment and research he's got to put into that character. If presuming he's never bothered to play much Crash, right? That's still a lot of investment and time he's got to put into that character to learn exactly what that character does.
Yeah, I'd imagine it'll be a pretty basic character compared to like what they've done.
Yeah, it'd be like the Banjo of this.
Yeah.
Of third, and you know, well, I suppose it's not third party really, but
Yeah, it is. Crash would be.
No, Banjo.
Well, Banjo is too. He's
Microsoft now, but he was introduced on Nintendo consoles.
Oh yeah. But he is now.
Yeah.
Still got to pay the lawyers and all that to get that worked out. Yeah.
Yeah, but my point is like going back on history, Sakurai could crack out his Nintendo 64 and be like, I played the bear and bird. Whereas with
That's exactly what happened.
And like, oh God, I've got something stuck in my eye. All right, forget my point. Let's just move on. We've talked about this way too long.
Yeah. Now, this is going to be a long episode, apparently. We've talked about all this stuff for like an hour.
Jesus.
All right, so, Bryce, let's move into the news.
Woohoo! Yeah! Pika, pika! Is that all?
I got something in my eye.
My eye is still.
You've really got something in your eye.
Oh, Jesus.
You're rubbing both of them.
Oh, yeah, because then the other one started itching because it started itching the other one. And, I hate eyes.
You hate them.
I hate them.
Do you appreciate having them?
No.
Okay.
As you can see.
Your glasses, yeah.
Yes, I have these.
Yeah.
They don't do much for me. That does most of the work.
Just no eyeballs, just glasses. It'll be fine still.
No, that's right. Yeah.
All right, so the first story I pulled up is actually a bit of a community a community message for anyone that's a bit concerned about Kevin Cassidy from Go Nintendo. On Twitter, he sort of he hadn't been posting for a few days, and he usually like updates the site and all that quite a bit on Go Nintendo.
Yeah.
And over the last week, obviously with everything that was going on with it in our community with Bobby and all that. People were like, oh, is he okay? And whatever. And he actually released a statement on Go Nintendo. So I'll read that. And he says, quote, hey guys, I've been MIA for the last few days. This was completely unplanned and I had no way to contact anyone when it happened. I want you all to know that I'm healthy and safe. That goes for Mum, Brian, and the whole GN crew too. Actually, it goes for anyone tied to GN. We are 100% fine, I promise. Obviously, something is keeping me away from work for the time being, but I can't get into details yet. I know that's extremely frustrating, and I am there with you. As soon as everything is worked out, I'll be back to share details with you. Again, I promise everyone is in good health. This is not related to the pandemic or anything like that. Mum, Brian, and I are sitting on the couch doing crossword puzzles and being our stupid selves as I type this. When anything else is settled, I'll fill you all in. Unfortunately, it's going to take patience, and that goes for our end too. So just
Jesus.
Yeah, just to give everyone a bit of a heads up, like, yeah, he's fine. Because I was a bit worried too, because just a really, like, I haven't talked to him or anything like that, but just through his content, just comes across as like a really nice guy. So when I sort of heard people sort of share their concerns, I was like, oh God, not again.
Yeah.
Like, it's sort of very sort of touchy time at the moment where, people can just, come down with something that's not so good. They might go to the Backstreet Boys concert.
Backstreet Boys reunion tour.
Reunion tour, as the Game Grumps say, apparently.
Yep.
Which is very funny.
Backstreet Boys reunion tour.
Yeah. And that works really well, I've got to say, because whenever you talk about it, like my heart always sinks like, no, oh God. But when you say that, it's like, I don't know if it should be a funny thing.
Oh, I
don't know, but
no.
You got to put a funny. You got to put a bit of a positive light on it.
It is just a way to try and keep your mind distracted from the fact that it's a thing that exists by making the name into something a little bit more comedic. It's not necessarily meant in any disrespect whatsoever.
No, of course, yeah.
It is just what it is. It is the Backstreet Boys reunion tour, right? Yeah. Because that was the biggest joke to come out of the start with COVID.
Yeah.
So that's just how it is.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so the next one is from My Nintendo News, and President Furukawa believes every single year is a do or die situation for Nintendo. And this was from an interview from Nikki Business. So I'll just read the quote here. So Furukawa says, currently the Switch's sales are exceeding favorably and achievements are also good. But I have zero peace of mind, he said. No matter the hits in the entertainment business, people someday do lose interest. Up until now, we have repeatedly had the experience of our business taking a nosedive. He goes on to say, because of this, I myself, as well as those within the company, do not at all think the current state of affairs will keep going and going. For Farakawa, he believes that every single year is a do or die situation, end quote. Goes on to say, you must give new customers fresh surprises, and our experience can slip into obscurity at any time. I always have this kind of sense of crisis, end quote. So just like it sounds pretty like full on, but it's not a bad sort of way to be if you're the CEO of a company. And Nintendo's shown this in the past with the Wii going into the Wii U. They were very much just like, we're fine. The Wii's is a big brand name. We sold 100 million of the things. We're a family icon at this point. And no, you weren't.
No,
you
didn't do well.
No.
Shows that things could turn around any moment.
Yeah. So, it's having the head of the company be like, you know what? The Switch is going awesome, but let's really concentrate on where we're going and where we're going to take our brand, our series, and our hardware in the future, because it can crumble at any point.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that they really need to focus on what they're doing right, as opposed to what they assume is going to be the best move forward. Like it's the same value that all like the other competitors, obviously Xbox and PlayStation, have done since the beginning. Right? And when they tried to put their own spin on things, whether it be the Move or the Kinect, they failed fucking horribly, right? Because people didn't want that from their console. So when you find something, Nintendo, stick to it, at least to some degree, right? The reason the Switch is going so well is because you can fucking take it anywhere, and it incorporates everything that everybody loves about the Wii. Motion controls that you can just hand off to another person, You've got something.
Yeah.
Don't let it go.
I got to admit, I do wish there were more motion control experiences, like what we got on with Wii, how we had like Wii Sports and WarioWare and all these sort of titles. Mm-hmm. Since like the launch of the Switch, we really haven't really gotten that type of thing from Nintendo.
Not the ones that we want.
No, like sort of the more Wii-esque type of experiences, but
like WarioWare and stuff. Like I think that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, but we've got experimental things like Labo, was just completely out of like left field. Like we've got like fitness boxing and what's the fitness game called again?
Ring Fit Adventure.
Yeah, Ring Fit Adventure. We've got like some like stuff like that, but really just would like honestly let's just love Wii Sports. Just so it's like hand Joy-Cons and just have that type of thing, because
we could have that. Like we've got the capability for it now, and that hasn't gone away. But that's what I mean about we've got a portable, a home system, and Wii motion controls in one console. Right, like so, there is really no argument. If you put these things out to the public, whether it be Wii Sports or something like that, it's going to work. The experience we're looking for, like with WarioWare and all that stuff, that's something that we want. And I realize that's not for everyone.
Yeah,
but you can get very similar experiences out of the Switch just by buying fucking trash heap.
Yeah, just like shovelware type of stuff. Is that what you mean? Yeah.
That's what I mean. Stuff that belongs in the trash heap.
Just
families can still get that experience out of it, which is primarily what made the Wii so successful, and probably why the Switch is going so well too. To be honest, because everybody loves themselves some Mario Kart, but they also love Horse's Pet Play Adventures.
I love Horse's Pet Play Adventures.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know you love it too, so I won't take all the credit here.
Beautiful.
All right, so moving on.
You forgot about Horse's Pet Play Adventures.
Yeah, well, I actually got into it during the sequel.
Yeah. Horse's Pet Play Adventures 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, that was really cool. I love how they added the feature where you can like pat the horse under the chin.
Yeah.
Beforehand, it was only on the head, but under the chin really unlocks a horse's pleasure point.
The pleasure point.
The pleasure point. The horse's pleasure point.
The pleasure point.
Then, Bryce, there's 5 pleasure points on a horse. Can you name them all?
Hoof, 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 under the chin.
Yeah, it's on the hoof. You nailed it.
Right. They've got 4 of them. That fills 4 slots.
You got to fill the slots for the pleasure point. Yep. All right, so also from My Nintendo News, there was a life-size Samus helmet statue coming from First 4 Figures, and it's up for pre-order now. So I don't know if you've seen this, Bryce, but it's Samus's helmet.
It's pretty dope.
It's got LED lights and all that in it. It looks absolutely cool. I'd love to have one just like in the dark in my office back here. It'd be really nice.
Yeah.
So just a bit of a heads up if you're into your figures. I always look at these things and go, that would be awesome. But then I look at the shipping to Australia. I'm like, maybe not.
Yeah, not cheap.
Maybe not. So it's going to be shipped in the first quarter of 2022. So keep your eyes out for that one. Do you have any like figures or anything like that like First 4 Figures or any other company have done that you really want? One that comes to me is Okami, Adamaritsu from that game. Just like that one looks absolutely amazing and I want it so bad, but it's like a $500 statue.
Yeah.
So do you have any like that where you're like, I would love to get that?
No. Like the thing is like as much as I love those very artistic type of things, their price point is so fucking high.
Okay.
Where I'm like,
If you take money out of it, what would be one you'd like to display in your house, you reckon?
man, I don't know. I haven't looked into it because I get tempted. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. And because there is like even just looking at like Final Fantasy figures and shit like that, I'm like, damn, I'd love to own that. And I'm like, I could. And then I'm like, no, I don't need another thing to fucking get addicted to and start spending money on. All right.
Be like Amiibo, but each Amiibo is like $500.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, no, thank you. I will, stop indulging myself in this because otherwise I'm going to turn it into another thing. So, yeah, I actively avoid looking at them. I actively do because I appreciate how well crafted and made and how they look, but I don't want to get it.
Just look at unboxings on YouTube and live through them.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Nice and cheap.
Yeah.
All right, so this one's actually really ironic, and we're going to use this to discuss one of Bryce's adventures he's going on when it arrives. But the Wii U firmware has been updated to 5.5.5.U.
Oh,
so thanks to Wario64 on Twitter, we have information that the Wii U has its first update since September 3rd, 2018. So this is obviously not a very interesting update. It's just stability and stopping people from hacking the goddamn thing. And speaking of hacking the goddamn thing, Bryce has bought a second Wii U. It's in the mail as we speak.
that I have.
And Bryce, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to be updating to this new firmware? You're going to be experiencing all the fun Wii U games that you've got in your library?
No.
No. What are you going to do with it, my friend?
I'm going to be hacking.
Oh, you're going to be hacking it. Oh, so look out for this new firmware. Nintendo knows that you bought a second-hand one.
Look, all right. I love me some, hacking, I guess.
I love myself some hacking
Right.
as well. Yeah, it's good fun.
Done it with the 3DS. You've done it with the 3DS.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. There's always something that you can do with a piece of Nintendo hardware. Like if you've just got it laying around, you can be like, I can hack that. Right.
I can hack that. Yeah.
And, sometimes depending on what kind of person you are and how much expenditure you have, it can be a very trial and error kind of process. And sometimes it might not work out. Right. I've got a Wii U there. I've already got a Wii U. So yes, I bought another Wii U. I bought another Wii U in 2021.
Yep. How much was it?
$150 for a pretty good looking unit.
Second-hand from EB Games? Is that what
No, eBay.
eBay, okay.
Yep. You can't buy them at EB Games anymore.
Can't you?
No.
Oh.
Anyway,
Because when I was looking into it, I remember like a basic edition, the white one was like $100 pre-owned. No, $98. So I'm like, that's actually not too bad.
yeah, I got another premium one, right? Because the primary reason I chose to get a new Wii U over just using my regular one is I don't have a decent gamepad anymore. My gamepad is old. It's been overused. The left stick on it has been fucked for years.
It just like clicks as you rotate it.
Yeah, it clicks as I rotate it. So I'm like, all right, okay, yeah, I need another one, right? So my first instinct was, all right, I'm going to buy a new console. So I bought a new Wii U, and it should be here this week. And I'm going to sit it at my desk, plug it into my screen via the second HDMI. Every now and then, right? When I feel ready, I'm going to switch over to that screen. I'm going to spend a day hacking it. And I'm just going to hack the hell out of it because, and this is something that's, sort of looking at it from the perspective of like the mini consoles and stuff. We use very good virtual console machines. They're very good virtual console machines.
They're absolutely wicked.
They're absolutely amazing. right? And it's a shame because the Switch community, the Switch hacking community has far more people dedicated to it than they do the Wii U one. But it can't do the same things a Wii U can because the Wii U's already got a lot of stuff native.
Yeah, Nintendo already did the work for them. So
yeah, exactly. They already did 90% of the work for them. Obviously, there's some things that have to be done to sort of tweak it. But what I'm hoping is that a lot of people will start seeing cheap Wii U's because they are cheap. They'll pick them up and they'll start getting into this and start developing things for them. Right. Obviously, there is still already a ton like ready and available for Wii U, but with the thing being such a powerhouse for Virtual Console, I'm very, very keen to see what I can manage to pull off with it. Right. I think the library can go from in terms of home consoles, it can go from NES all the way up to Wii U, plus off consoles like TurboGrafx and Sega Master System and all that shit. But it can also do portable, all the way from Game Boy Pocket to Nintendo DS. Right? So basically what this means is that this Wii U, once I get it up and going, it will cover those needs from all those consoles. And then I've got a 3DS and Switch still, right? So I can still play them as per needed. But this will sort of just line everything up in a nice little bubble. Yeah, and I won't...
The DS emulation on Wii U is just so underrated. It's amazing just how you actually have like one screen on the TV and the touch screen on the gamepad, and you got different sort of ways you can hold it. So if you want to play like brain training or something, that you hold the DS sideways, you can put that in. You can hold the actual Wii U tablet sideways and all of that. So I was looking into this and I sort of like decided not to, but I dare say what's going to happen is I'm going to go over to your place. You're going to have it all set up. You're going to have your Game Boy Advance games all light up, your DS games, Super Nintendo games, just GameCube games. That's an exciting one. Obviously, that wasn't natively supported on the Wii U Virtual Console. And I'm going to say it. I'm going to be like, right, I need to make one of these of my own because I would probably still buy another Wii U because I want my Wii U being what my Wii U was back in the day with like all my save data and that. And probably the main point as well is that I want my Nintendo account still on the Wii U. I don't want, and that's tied to my Switch account. If I lose my Switch account, that's thousands of dollars down the drain. So got to be careful as far as like tying your account to it if if it's that type of thing. Like I don't want to tie my account to it. It's my own personal project, and I'm not using it from... if Nintendo's concerned, I'm not using it to stop myself from buying Nintendo games or anything like that because I still will. Of course, yeah.
I actively support Nintendo in just about everything they do. But I would just like to have a play around box that I can sort of mess with and, have under the TV, and it's one single unit, which is something that the Switch doesn't actively do.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is like I want to be able to play these games on the TV and handheld mode. We've gotten used to it at this point with the Switch, but with the Wii U, we still do get that. We obviously can't take it with us, but if we wanted to like play, say, for me, like I was going to say Mario Sunshine, that's a bad example because that's now being ported. But say like an older GameCube game that
even going back and playing Melee or
like a game
Double Dash.
Yeah, if it's just not available. I've got those copies on GameCube, but doesn't have an HDMI input. Yeah. So just like stuff like that, just to without actually modding like hardware, you can just like have a Wii U, just with everything on it,
and that's the thing. That's what it comes down to, is because Wii U supports HDMI, whereas a lot of the consoles that it can emulate do not. It is a very appealing option. Yeah. And unfortunately, like there is games on the Virtual Console library that I'm like, yep, I'll own them, I'll buy them, whatever. But there's not all of those games either, So I want to break it open and have that option to have. I don't know it's hard to come up with an example, but something like Mischief Makers. I don't think Mischief Makers is on there, for example. And I fucking love Mischief Makers, the N64 game. So I'd love to have that on a box and under the TV.
Yeah, it's a bit like me with Pokemon. Like if they just release it on Switch, I'll be like, yes, here's $30 $30 for one goddamn game from a Game Boy Advance. Just give it to me, for goodness sakes. I want to play it.
And I would do that.
I want to buy it so bad. You got no idea.
It's like Black 2 and White 2 at the moment. I'm like, you know what? Okay. I had to get rid of when I was actively buying Nintendo games but didn't have a great job. I was trading in my games to get credit so I could buy them.
Yo.
So as a result, I never really kept a Pokemon collection. Right, I managed to relocate the one Pokemon game I have left, which is Soul Silver. Right, and I grabbed that, but I'm like, I really want to play Black 2, White 2. But purchasing that game anywhere is $200+ depending on the condition. Loose cartridge, $180 to $200. Can you please get Game Freak to just fucking port it to the console that you currently have going, so I can give you $80 to $90 and not just shelve out my ass for a copy of that game.
I'll tell you what, bro. So I got a copy I can sell you for $150.
I'll give you my copy of Soul Silver for it, and then we can trade it back later. How's that?
I don't want Soul. I've already got Soul Silver.
Like, that's the problem. That's the fucking problem. It's so expensive. It's so fucking expensive that it actually irks me. Like, people have scalped the hell out of it. That it's just not worth it.
No, fair enough. When you said, I'm like, geez, that's a lot of money. Is that right? Go and Google it. Just instantly, like, yeah, it is right.
I'm dead right. It is absolutely ridiculous. You cannot buy it anywhere cheap.
You need to catch the people that are selling their kids DSs.
Drew, even
what you need to do.
Even the gamesmen and fucking cash converters.
Yeah, but they know. They know.
I know
what things are worth.
But that's ridiculous.
It's a bit like when they'll I think it was cash converters. There was a picture going around that they were selling a PS5 for $1,500.
Yeah,
double
and that's
the price.
So stupid.
Like, these places are like, they're experts in the things they get, and if they don't know, they'll find out like what it's worth, and they won't get ripped off.
No.
But for example, I bought a couple of DSIs. I know you already know the story, but I'm just telling the audience. I bought a couple of DSIs, and it came with like Pokemon Platinum, Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, Pokemon White, Nintendo's Labrador, like some really bad third-party movie-based games. So it was quite a mixed bag, but that was $100 Australian. And like, there are places and deals out there where people are like, it's Pokemon, and they're not like, Pokemon's very popular and they're not printing this game anymore, so I can really jack up the price.
Yeah, they don't see that. No.
So just keep an eye on your marketplace.
Yeah, do it. No, for real. Obviously if it's like Pokemon X, Y, Moon, Sun, whatever, those games are available digitally. So there's always going to be an option to buy them for less than $200. So don't get your hopes up and think, holy shit, my Pokemon X is worth so much money now, because we've said this, because it's not. The reason these games are so expensive, namely Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and Black 2, Black 1, Black White, Black 2, White 2. They're all very expensive because they do not have a digital buy option.
Yes, yeah. Basically, from the Game Boy Advance to the DS, there's just no options to buy them unless you want to track down money-hungry people, which is fair enough.
That's
get your money, people.
Why did they stop with Gen 2 on the 3DS? Like,
I don't know.
They should have just do the whole library, guys. You've already done it. You've done it with 2 generations. Just do it with the whole library.
They're like, oh, well, we don't have Game Boy Advance games on DS unless we do, because we have released them, but we never did it officially with like
they do it on the
paid.
Wii U. I don't fucking know.
Yeah. Well, they did. They did do it on Wii U with Game Boy Advance Simulation, didn't they? That was so weird back in the day. I'm like, so you got Game Boy Advance games on Wii U,
but you don't have them on 3.
So what are you guys doing? What are you doing?
You know what? Perfect thing. Put it all on Wii U and put the DS games on the gamepad. Obviously, because you can.
Yeah.
Put Pokemon back on the Wii U. That console probably would have done pretty fucking well just off Pokemon alone.
Yeah. I mean, just put it on Switch now. That'll be good too. God forbid. All right, Bryce, let's move on. So that, I love how we could talk that long about a Wii U firmware update. That's awesome.
Mate, shit, yeah.
So from My Nintendo Life, not My Nintendo Life. I always say My Nintendo when we're going through the news. I'm sorry, everyone. My Nintendo is just...
Nintendo.
Yep. So NintendoLife.com is where this story comes from. And Xbox Xbox's Phil Spencer is quoted for saying, "I could have never designed the Wii. It was just amazing to see." So the article reads, Phil Spencer hasn't been shy about showing his respect for Nintendo in recent times. And now a part of Crackle's Playing with Power, the Nintendo story series, Xbox's gaming boss has been at it again. So just pausing here on the article. So Crackle has released a series called Playing with Power, the Nintendo series. And it's a documentary, five episodes, an hour long. And it's free. Crackle's a free service in the US. It's not available in Australia, so I'm thinking about getting a VPN to actually be able to watch it here in Australia because it's just not available for me. So I have not watched it yet. But hearing Donnie from Nintendo Shack, he's quite enjoying it. So I'm looking forward to jumping into it myself because I think I always love any excuse to sort of sit down and learn a bit more about Nintendo because I'm sure there's a few facts in there which I'm not educated on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, continuing with the article, as noted by VGC, Spencer appears in the fun but flawed show to share plenty of kind words about the Japanese giant. He mentions that the role Nintendo has had in making gaming a safe and inviting family experience, while also bringing hardcore game experiences to their platform, has shaped the industry as we know it, citing the company's innovations as an inspiration for Team Xbox. He then also touches upon several of Nintendo's consoles, offering reflective comments on each. Interestingly, he notes that he could never have designed the Wii, again praising Nintendo for being completely so different. So, quote for Phil Spencer, "I remember seeing it and I'll tell you, I could have never designed the Wii. I don't have that in me. I don't know if I'm not brave enough or whatever as a platform holder now to go and do something just as completely different and to be just so all in on a new paradigm was just so amazing to see," end quote. As for the Nintendo 64, well, let's just say he doesn't sound quite as keen, at least when it comes to its iconic controller design. Quote, "I still don't understand the controller, just being honest. I guess it's multiple controllers in one, but you needed 3 hands to play that," end quote. So, interesting having Phil Spencer on in a Nintendo doco. I thought that's really cool. I'm looking forward to actually watching it myself, but just getting those tidbits from it seems pretty interesting. But Bryce, what do you think about Phil Spencer's take on the Wii? Because I remember sort of learning about how big a jump it was for Nintendo to like really take on the Blue Ocean strategy, which was, not do what their competitors are doing, but go in a completely different direction. And honestly, for like the first 3 years, that worked out great for them. But I think for the next generation, it put them on a path that was actually going in the wrong direction. Yeah. And they were sort of misguided and didn't know what their product was anymore necessarily. So that was the problem. Sort of the Wii set them on. But, gave them a lot of cash, gave them a lot of capital to keep going, keep them afloat during those 6 years of being under for the Wii U. But I remember like Sony, for example, with the PlayStation Move, they had that sort of technology the same time Nintendo was. But there was no company out there that was ambitious enough to actually say, this is our controller. Like, that is a ballsy move for any company, just to move away from just a normal controller, up the graphics. Because that's, it's a pretty standard thing, and that is honestly what consumers are looking for a lot of the time. They want just another box, which is more powerful, has better looking games, and pushes technology to that next limit. And the Wii didn't do that. It was pretty much a GameCube in a really nice, slick looking sort of form factor with a really unique remote. So yeah, I always have a lot of respect for Nintendo doing that, even if it turns out like, motion controls are going to get old and the games are looking kind of crappy, and it sort of went in that direction as well. But a lot of respect for Nintendo. So how do you feel about that sort of aspect of what Phil Spencer said?
I mean, look, the Wii, I guess it never really, just looking back, like we all thought, oh, this is going to be cool, right? But as for like a revolutionary thing, it never really hit until they're like, think of the possibilities of like Zelda being able to swing with your sword and all that stuff like that,
Mario, you can jump in real life, and
just there was heaps of things to just be like, there's some cool things at work here. Like there's heaps you can do. And like when it first came out, I guess the most we had for that, and especially with like Twilight Princess, were like, yes, if we swing the remote, Link swings his sword. That is great, but it wasn't like input detection or anything like that as well.
No, it was just like it moved, and then it does an input in the game. Yeah.
That's right, yeah. And it was the same with aiming as well, and like all that, and just things that were typical quality of life things, especially with the Wii pointer. Like it was really good for aiming arrows and shit like that.
If you want to play an arcade shooter, you go back to the Wii.
You go back to the Wii, yeah. Oh shit, you want to play a normal shooter like Metroid or something like that, you can definitely go back to the Wii.
Yeah, if they do it right, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Metroid Prime 3 Corruption is really good. But in saying that, I also think we kind of overestimated what we wanted, because by the time Skyward Sword come around, a lot of people were like, fuck, this is annoying, trying to aim every sword slash and stuff like that, and
2011 was way too late for that
yeah,
Wii dream being realized.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it didn't hold the same uniqueness by the end of it. We're just like, we're over this, right? But that being said, their leap into trying something brand new like that was realized in its potential pretty much as soon as the console come out, because it came packaged with Wii Sports. At least here it did. I know that it didn't in the US, right?
No, Japan.
In Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it did in the US, but the funny thing about the US...
fucking Kellogg's packet.
Yeah, it didn't come in just a game case. It came in a cardboard sleeve.
Yeah.
That would have irritated me to beyond belief.
Yeah, because that game deserves to have a case.
Yeah, just saving on just the case. Nintendo, it's got to be such a success. Just pay the extra 50 cents for the game case.
And it was such straight out the box. The Wii was realized to be such a fucking amazing piece of hardware just through a very simple sports game.
Yeah, I got to say, even today, like the Wii on the stand with the Wii 24 Connect blue light glowing in like a dark room. Say if you're getting up for like a glass of milk at 12 o'clock at night, and the Wii's there glowing. It's my favorite looking console. It's so sleek. Even today, I think it's just a really nice looking piece of kit.
It's dope. And that's the crazy thing about the Wii is that it was, it was just something we'll always remember now. I played a lot of Super Nintendo and a decent amount of NES before I ever owned a 64, but I'll always remember 64 for just the amazement of jumping to 3D. And it's the same thing with Wii, but I'll always remember Wii for changing the way that I play a video game. Like from just using a controller. Like that was huge. And I don't think it would work nowhere near as well as this day and age, quite obviously. But the way that they did it at the time just spawned so much possibility. And again, Wii Sports being in the box was just the kicker. Like Wii Sports was mad. It got everybody around the TV. And it was just the perfect little tech demo of showing what you can do with the Wii. Even if it was just stupid shit, like you played 4-player tennis against yourself and just went with a fucking remote.
Like an octopus just playing bloody tennis.
Yeah, and just watching all the Mii's go, like it was fucking mad. Just seeing shit like that was fantastic.
Seeing a physical input just do something funny on screen was just like...
That's exactly right.
A novelty in itself for like the first couple of years.
And like, in places it didn't work. Like I don't think motion control kart racing is a fucking good idea for a video game. I don't like it. Like turning it like a steering wheel or having the mold or whatever.
I enjoyed it at the time.
I don't.
I enjoyed it at the time.
It like from playing Mario Kart for so long just on a controller and knowing how precise you can be to cut down time on a course or something like that, it wasn't achievable on the Wii wheel.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, not for me.
I still remember going to like say the next generation after the Wii and DS, like with the say 3DS, playing Mario Kart 7. I remember thinking like, you could do tricks when you go off a jump in Mario Kart 7, and I remember thinking, oh, how are you going to do the trick? Are you going to have to shake your 3DS? Because with Mario Kart Wii, you had to shake the Wii remote, or even on the GameCube one, you had to press the one of the D-pad directions to do a trick. Like there was something that was like a little, like it was always a pain in the bum to do. I'm like, how are you going to do it with the 3DS? And it was just like hit the bumper. Instead of doing a drift, you just do a jump off and you do a trick. I'm like, well, it was like such a relief, because like with the Zelda games and everything during that generation, there was always something that sort of got in the way of just sitting down and blending into your couch and just getting into the experience. There's always something to think about, whether it's a stylus or a Wiimote or whatever. So like these days, just sitting there with a Pro controller is just like, oh, I don't know if you feel the same way. Like,
Yeah.
and it's like it's ultimately why we played pretty much nothing but Smash Brothers. We just slapped that Wii on its side and put in some GameCube controllers, and that was our Smash box for. It would have been from honestly like when the game came out in 2008 until the new one came out at the end of 2014. Like, that's a long time, especially when you're that young, and that's a long time sort of percentage of your life.
I think it was like 400 odd hours on each console of ours.
Yeah.
On Smash, because like when we checked the records or whatever. So like collectively, like, and a lot of that time was spent playing together, right? So, collectively probably about 700 hours each in Brawl. Some shit like that, Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, never got sick of it.
No.
Anyway, a lot of respect to Nintendo for trying something different, and they go on to
They pulled it off, yeah.
With the
Except
Switch
for the Wii U.
Yeah, the Wii U, yeah. Obviously the Switch is something pretty different. It's obviously just like sit on your couch, play handheld, play with controller. For the most part. But.
I'll always be a believer that the Wii U was a dream not realized, which was, pretty much the case. And then the Switch came out. It's like, oh, this is what you wanted to do. Like, I think that's pretty obvious at this point.
I think for the most part that's true, but I definitely think Nintendo, they wanted that wacky controller, like this, like balls to the wall, just like, all right, this has a screen, this has all this stuff, and
I have a pen. I have a pineapple pen.
yeah, pretty much that's what Nintendo was doing. They're just designing with that song in the background.
But like the thing is, actually, I reckon the best way to describe it is they still wanted to figure out a way to make their handheld lineup and their console lineup separate. And that was what the Wii U was kind of, because they still wanted people to constantly be playing so that, people would spend their money, So they wanted to make something that you can go around the house, still play your Wii U anywhere in the house. It'll always be by your side, but have your 3DS to take out with you, right? But I think they come to the conclusion when the Wii U fucking flopped like a chop.
God, it was a raw chop.
No, it was a raw chop. I think they come to the conclusion, they're like, right, well, if we combine the two things, they have to buy it. Surely. Surely. So like, here's the option. They're like, they gave us the option of like, here, you can buy a handheld and a console. And then they were like, they clearly didn't like that. So then they were like, all right, you can buy a handheld you can buy a console that is a handheld. And they're like, and that's all it took. Because if I could just buy one Nintendo console for the rest of my lifetime instead of always owning two, I'd be so happy.
Yeah, definitely. And you can see just in the reflection of what the software lineup is as well. It benefits everyone.
Oh, yeah, it does. Yeah.
The company, us, just a lot easier. All right, so we're going to be talking about the Switch a bit later in Reggie's Rec Room to celebrate its 4th birthday. So we'll leave it there. So let's jump into some more Nintendo Switch news. And this is a bit of a rumor that was floating around thanks to Bloomberg, but I'll read the sort of summary from My Nintendo News. And that is, Switch Pro is being unveiled later in 2021 and has a bigger Samsung LED display and 4K resolution in docked mode. So the article reads, the Switch Pro rumors have been getting very hard to ignore in the last few months. Not only have they gotten more frequent, but they're suggesting that a reveal is getting very close. And now, with today being the 4th anniversary of the launch of Nintendo Switch, there's another report that has appeared. Bloomberg is reporting that, according to people familiar with the plan that they spoke to, Nintendo is planning to unveil a new Switch model later this year. The model is reportedly going to have a bigger Samsung OLED display, and Nintendo is hoping that this larger touchscreen can prop up demand in time for the holidays. Samsung's mass production of the 7-inch 720p resolution OLED panels is supposed to begin as early as June and slated for shipment to assemblers around July. Samsung is currently aiming for an internal monthly target of just under 1 million units. These rigid OLED panels offer a cheaper but less flexible alternative to the commonly used for high-end smartphones. As for resolutions, the model is going to have a docked mode that can display at 4K ultra-high definition graphics. Bloomberg reached out to representatives for Nintendo and Samsung, but they have declined to comment. So that's the end of the article there. And so we've been covering bloody Switch Pro rumors for that goddamn how long, but this one comes from a pretty reputable source from Bloomberg. They usually don't publish this type of thing if there is absolutely no merit to it. So whether there's a lot of weight to it coming this year, whether the people were 100% truthful and all that, we don't know. But as far as like what you want from a pro model, Bryce, obviously you're a power user of the Nintendo Switch. You play a lot of games on there. We talked about in the past that yours was falling apart, so you modded it and all that. So you are looking to hopefully upgrade to a brand new model coming out. Does sort of like a Switch without the bezels and like a bit nicer screen that displays more accurate colors and that gets you excited. It doesn't say anything about like increased RAM, increased hard drive space or anything like that. So
but that's the thing. I just want better guts.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Throw all the bells and whistles away with the screen and like all that stuff, and maybe keep the 4K, I guess, because it's kind of the point of upgrading the guts, right? I would be perfectly fine for that. And as for the Switch, I would be just as happy it staying the way it is, as long as they upgraded the guts and made that screen probably a tiny bit better, right? It doesn't have to be the jambalaya and have like 2 terabytes of storage or some shit like that. Like it doesn't have to have all that. I just want it to have better cooling. I want it to have a better GPU than it's got. I want it to have a better CPU than it's got. And I don't want it to be underclocked to a level where, it kind of makes the upgrade pointless. Like that's pretty much all I want. To play Breath of the Wild at a more consistent frame rate would be fantastic. And, that's something I would love.
Yeah, that's something I would love as well. Like, I remember when the Switch was first announced, like as someone who loves their Apple products and that, for example, that bezel did stand out a fair bit. Like it is pretty big for a modern device. I don't notice it anymore because I've used the Switch like so long, but it would be pretty cool for that screen to fill up the unit a bit more. I think that'll be a pretty pro. Like for 7 inches, it pretty much just like widens, just gets rid of the bezel, and it's just a bezel-less Switch. That's what it becomes. And I imagine the body would stay pretty similar to accommodate Joy-Cons. I can't see them being like, all right, we need completely just thinner Joy-Cons. I think that'll just be obscene for like just not ruining their success, but just like, really getting in the way of what they're doing. It's just so easy what they're doing. Just you buy a Switch, you put it in your TV. It's very basic. The message is easy. But when you sort of like introduce like, oh, you need this accessory for this one and all that, it's just going to completely mess it. So I can see like the rails and that being the same width and that. But yeah, pretty much what I want from a Switch Pro would be just like, say, Apex Legends is coming to Switch. It looks a bit worse, but it still runs at 60 frames. Because that is like one of the more important things for a lot of these games coming out. Because that's what I sort of notice a lot more. Even like Age of Calamity and stuff, where like not the resolution, well, that too, but the frame rate like drops right down. It's like, oh, I really wish this thing could like handle a bit more of what these games are throwing at them. So that's personally what I like to say. Like I'm pretty happy with the Switch as it is, and but yeah, just for like a bit of an upgrade, I would like to see just some more RAM, kind of, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, this new screen, like the OLED screen, it was used in the PlayStation Vita, and even back in 2012, it was just a really gorgeous display. So, it'd be nice to see it for Nintendo games as well.
Yeah, like that's fine. I just care about the guts, man.
Yeah.
Like that aside, as nice as that is and everything like that, it is just another commodity of like, if that breaks, it's going to be harder to pay for that than what we were, to repair it than what we had before. So it's kind of, yeah.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Just give me better guts. And that's all they care about. And give me a better frame rate. Consistent 1080p at the bare minimum, 4K at the optimum. But something tells me that's not going to happen. 4K. I think like everybody drums up this 4K constantly, but we're not hitting consistent 1080p as it is.
Yeah, so I brought up an article from Games Beat, and the article's written by Jeff Grubb, who's pretty prominent in like getting a lot of this information out there. And he's written an article titled "How Nintendo and Nvidia Could Bring 4K to the Super Nintendo Switch." So that's actually a pretty dope name for it, Super Nintendo Switch. Anyway, yeah, just call it like that's a good question. What it would actually be called, but like he's got a lot of sort of methods how Nvidia and Nintendo could work together to get this. Whether it's actually hardware in the unit or there's like an upscaler on the actual dock, and there's a few different routes they could take as far as the technology boosts it. Yeah. Because I honestly think it would be something in the dock itself, because that power and the draw on the battery is just not needed in the Switch itself when you take it out. So it may as well just be in the dock.
Yeah, and I mean things like that exist. I think it's called a Thunderbird or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but it is something that you can plug into any computer, and it is basically just its own GPU.
Yep.
Right. So that would these things exist. They're things that can be done.
Yeah,
we've proven it. It's happening. It's happening with computers. There's no reason it can't happen with the Switch. And I think that, that's probably what it comes down to.
Yeah, it makes me really wonder too, because with the Wii U, Nintendo was down and out for the most part in the console space. Like they were irrelevant. That's how bad the situation was in that space. But with the Switch, they utilize what their strength is with handhelds, and they have gotten to a place now where they are relevant in the console community again. And it's not just the handheld space; it is the console space. They're in the same conversation with Xbox and PlayStation, even though they're completely different games, different hardware specs, and all that. They are there, and it makes me wonder when they're actually targeting 4K. Like looking into that, it could be just, they want their games to look nicer, but it might be actually a pretty serious play. Like, all right, now we're in the same space and we're going for a bit of your lunch as well. It'll be interesting to see what the final specs will be and what their idea is going forward.
And time will tell.
Time will tell, and I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it does happen this year. Yeah. It all works out.
Yeah. All
right, Bryce, let's jump into the House of Mario's Red Coin recommendations for this week in Nintendo eShop. All right. Oh, here we are, Bryce. We're in the eShop. Nintendo Wii eShop, talking about the Wii.
Memories.
Yeah.
Blocks.
So when I was on the
loading screen,
a bit of a shout out to Dash on the Dash Gamers podcast. I actually joined that show on a 6-weekly basis. So every now and again I'll be on there to talk about it. And he brought up the games that came out this week, and he brought out this game, 3 out of 10. They made the joke like, what's it going to be like 3 out of 10 on Metacritic? And it turns out that kind of is the idea of the joke. So I brought that up. It's $15 on the Australian eShop. And the bio on the Wii eShop, not the Wii U eShop, I've got the Wii U on. The Nintendo Switch eShop is join the ongoing adventures of developers at the world's worst video game studio as they endure antics both absurd and topical. They will they ever make a game that scores higher than 3 out of 10? Stay tuned to find out. In addition to all 5 episodes of the first season of 3 out of 10, this special collection also includes the following. So we're going to the dot points here, Bryce, and we all know developers love their dot points. They really got to put out what their game does well. And sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad. I don't know what this is going to be. Let's have a listen. So it's an open world, free roam mode. Explore freely and learn more about the world of 3 out of 10 in this open-ended experience. Can you find all the retro games? Official soundtrack. The complete soundtrack of Season 1 of the playable sitcom 3 out of 10, with over 40 minutes of electric, catchy, and memorable tracks, featuring music by Mike Marabello, composer of Tower of Guns and Mothership, and contributors Zach. I'm just going to ignore that last name. I'm going to completely butcher that. Next dot point is Big Head Mode. Ever want to watch a sitcom with Big Head Mode turned on? Now you can. I'll be honest, I haven't. Actually, everyone loves Raymond with Big Head Mode. It'd be awesome. What do you reckon?
Oh, yeah.
Frank just comes in with this massive head. Oh, Raymond! Raymond! Concept art gallery. Yeah, don't have to talk about that. You know what the concept art gallery is. And actor profiles. Learn more about the actors who play the wacky cast of 3 out of 10. And it's basically looks to me like a point and click adventure, but there's also different aspects of it. So there's an image here of a a lady falling from a plane, and you got to like go through all the circles. There's like sort of a stack up of cars which you got to try and stack up in the time limit, and it just seems kind of interesting for $15. It sort of caught my eye because it just seemed like a weird name. I'm like, oh god, this is going to be something, but for $15, it would be interesting to go and check out. So next one up is Harvest Moon One World, and begin at your new life with a whole world to explore. Grab your pitchfork and get stuck into this agricultural life as you harvest crops and tend to your animals on your fleeting farm. Earn money from selling your wares and grow your humble homestead into a thriving estate. A world of adventure awaits. Your journey will take you through 5 seamlessly connected regions with vastly different climates, each boasting their own flora and fauna. Now, just reading this, Bryce, so it takes you through 5 different regions. Why can't we get a Pokemon game that takes us through 5 different regions? You know what I mean?
Money.
A little bit of a difference there, but what are you going to do?
Money.
So yeah, new Harvest Moon game. Not sure on the quality of this one. I know that sort of it's gone downhill a bit since all the rights sort of changed, and the original developers actually lost the rights to Harvest Moon. So now this is actually, who's the developer? So the publisher is Rising Star Games. So, but the Harvest Moon developers are now working on Story of Seasons. So if you want to catch up with the original team, that is where they are.
Mm.
And last of all is Sea of Solitude, the director's cut. And this is one I've been looking to play on Xbox Game Pass, of all things, Bryce. God forbid, play some games on that service. Have you touched your Game Pass in a while? I actually haven't.
No, I haven't. No.
Yeah, bit of a shame.
Really got too much shit to play, but I just haven't sat down.
I would literally have hundreds of games. That's what I just like play. Obviously, Game Pass has not helped that. I like spending money to hinder myself.
Yes.
Anyway,
I understand that. Trust me.
So adventure through a beautiful and troubling world where nothing is as it seems, to confront and conquer your fears. Kay knows monsters that you know too. Loneliness, depression, and abundant take on the form of frightening beasts and fantastical creatures in the award-winning Sea of Solitude, an action-adventure game revisited for the Nintendo Switch, now as the director's cut. And I don't know if you remember this, Bryce, but it was an EA original that was, I forgot where it was announced, but it was an E3, might have been a Sony conference or something. And it looked really interesting then, and I sort of never got around to it, but it's just like a, kind of like a really nice looking, nice art. I don't know if it's a walking simulator or whatever, but it sort of goes through the journey of depression, and it's got some pretty heavy themes. So this is one I'll be looking at, whether it is on Nintendo Switch or a cheaper option through Xbox Game Pass. But if you're interested on Nintendo Switch for the director's cut, it's $30.
Oh,
yeah. I'm just looking at the key features here because I'm like, what does the director's cut actually give you? So the key features: an emotional adventure. Sea of Solitude, the director's cut, takes you on a beautiful, heart-pounding action-adventure game of Kay, a girl who is so hopeless that she is turned into a monster. Guide her through the tempest towards tranquility as she faces off against relentless beasts on her own making who want to see her capitalize and drown, unless she can also summon the inner strength to face them. So it's updated from the 2019 version. The director's cut features a rewritten script, a new cast of voice actors, and cutscenes and animations that can convey the narrative and gameplay experience in the most compelling way. Okay, so they've actually like redone the script and the voice acting and everything. So that's actually, it's good, quite a major step. So yeah, pretty cool. So definitely go and check that out. And there's still heaps of sales on the Wii U. Oh fucking! Why am I saying Wii U eShop? Oh my god!
It's all me. You're waiting to see the magnificent work that I do to my Wii U.
Obviously, yeah. But yeah, lots of sales on the Nintendo Switch eShop, so go and check that out too. I bought a heaps of stuff at like 1 o'clock in the morning the other week, where I'm like, should I have spent like $150 on games where I'm probably not going to buy? Yes, I should have. What bargains? What's money sitting in your bank anyway? You may as well spend it on capital. Digital video games.
That you won't own once the shop goes away.
Yes.
So that's why I keep a physical collection of games, Drew. Because once that shop goes away, boy, You'll never own them again.
Yeah, well, you know what they say. Bugger.
I don't.
All right, Bryce. So we've got a nice long show here. I'm actually enjoying the conversation with you. Are you enjoying the conversation with me?
I am, but I'm actually getting quite tired.
All right. So we'll jump into Reggie's Rec Room and
We'll finish this off.
We'll finish it off. We've got a few questions as well from people on Twitter. We'll make sure we get
Sounds
into
good.
them before we leave, and we'll make that the episode. So
All right, buddy.
let's go and see Reggie. He's a good man.
Hi, Nintendo fans. Reggie here.
Hey, man.
Thank you for your never-ending support.
Anytime.
For giving me a
Anytime.
mushroom kingdom full of incredible memories that I will never forget. Ever.
Not a problem, man, but can you give me a mushroom cup filled with espresso martini?
Oh, yeah, you need that at the moment, don't you? You're falling asleep like a bit
Oh,
of a
no,
boy.
not as bad as that one episode. That one episode, I don't know what was going on with me that day. I was completely stuffed.
Yeah, but this episode you're like, oh, there's something in my eye. Oh.
Yeah, something literally got in my eye. I don't know what it is, because this is a relatively dust-free room. But something just all of a sudden went clunk. And that was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
I can't believe Nintendo Switch is 4 years old, Bryce. At the same time I can, because it's been 4 years, but...
I actually can. I
Yeah.
can, because during that time, we've both moved houses. You know, my family's been growing, and I've had a second child in the time.
yeah, a lot has happened, eh?
You know,
Wow.
it is not that hard to believe it's 4 years old. In some respects, it actually feels like it's older
Yeah.
than 4 years. You know, so that's pretty mad.
Yeah, because we've been doing the podcast. This is our 4-year anniversary in May as well. So,
Yeah.
you know, it feels like we've been doing this forever. It feels like we've been, like, I don't remember owning a Wii U and playing that as, like, my Nintendo console.
I do.
I obviously I do too, but, yeah, try to forget. I've forgotten, like, the bad things about the Wii U, and I actually look back on the Wii U actually pretty fondly these days, to be honest.
Oh, look. Okay, look. Like as much as we shit on the Wii U and what it did wrong, right? There was always been a constant, and that is that it was filled with great software, and I don't think anybody can deny that. And most people, when they do think fondly of the Wii U, it's back on the software that it had.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's probably why.
Yeah. Anyway, let's not talk about the Wii U. Makes me sad. No, not really. But
Okay.
son. But like the Switch, like 2017. It sounds kind of weird to say, but Nintendo really did make that year really special, and like a lot of stuff happened that year. Where we started the podcast, where like it was the first year I actually moved out with my partner at the time too. Like a lot of stuff happened that year, but just like the hype around Switch, just all the software that came out that year, it was by far my favorite year of gaming ever. I don't know if it's ever going to be able to top for me personally. I
still remember that conference.
Yeah.
I still remember the conference where they were like, here's the date, here's Zelda. The same day, I remember losing my shit.
Yeah, I remember that sort of a live presentation they actually did from Japan that wasn't a direct or anything like that. I remember it just being like, oh, this is why Nintendo doesn't do live conferences anymore. This is pretty ordinary. We're getting the information we need somewhat, but it's just so like rigid and awkward.
Yeah.
But just like that Zelda trailer at the very end, it was like, that is my favorite trailer of anything ever. I don't know, that won't be topped. Just, I was crying. Like, we were in my like lounge room at the time, and we were just like, oh, like, it finished, and we're just like, our jaws were just on the floor.
Because we were never conveyed before that trailer about how desperate this version of Hyrule actually was for a hero. It was more desperate than any other version of Hyrule. And so that when that trailer played and it showed off like the absolute mass calamity that's happened, you've got Zelda in the mud crying because she can't fulfill her duty. You know, you're just like, holy shit, this is huge. Like, oh my God. Like, I watched that trailer several times that day, and then several times more the rest of that week.
Yeah, like just like the build of the music just like made me so emotional. But it's that trailer, it's cut so weird. Like there's like a bit in the middle where it like the audio cuts out for like half a second. Do you remember that? It's just like so awkward. I'm like, is that a part of the song, or was that just how the trailer's cut? But when I got the actual soundtrack for the game, and listen to it in the car and stuff, like that cut isn't there. Like just when they edited that thing, that must have just been an oversight.
Yeah.
Which is actually, yeah, because it was like it's building up and it cuts and then it sort of like stops like the build up of it. So yeah, that's just, I don't know if anyone else noticed that or anything, but that was just something I always got hung up on when I watched that trailer goddamn 100 times. But when we went and got our Nintendo Switch on launch day on March 3rd, 2017, that was such a special time. We both went to EB Games together, put our Switches in the back, put the seatbelts on, did the whole thing, and we come back. We didn't actually. Was looking at this the other day, and I think I retweeted it or something. But we did a bit of an unboxing. We got a bottle of champagne. We popped it open. Did our little Switch unboxing with like my webcam, and we had like a Blue Snowball microphone at the time, which we were using for our videos. And that where we just like put it in front of us, and that's audio for the two of us. But for whatever reason, when we're doing that video, it was just using the computer audio, so it's just shocking. It's just like the worst audio I've ever heard, especially when I pop the champagne. Like I pop the cork out. So
Bonk.
like, yeah, it just sounds like a electronic bomb. Pop. It's amazing. And Dash how he remixed it into the song. That was really funny.
I remember when I lost my mind. It's great.
Yeah. So in 2017, Bryce, what would be like apart from Zelda? Obviously, that is the standout game on the console for both of us, I think. Because when I think of Switch, I think of Zelda. I think that's just sort of cemented from the very start with Breath of the Wild. But any other games? So we had like Splatoon, ARMS, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Mario Odyssey, other games I'm forgetting at the time.
Those are the three titles that hit that year. Was Zelda Odyssey and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I was that interested enough in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, like they caught me. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go back. And then I played through all of Xenoblade 1 and realized that I really fucking love it. Did that, and then X, like I'd invested in X during the Wii U era. I didn't get all the way through it because it was like there was a grindy point that I was just not satisfied with. I eventually went back and played it, got through it, and enjoyed it still. But, that forced me to go back to that game, play that through. I did that. Enjoyed the hell out of it, and I was more than keen for that game. Zelda is Zelda. Don't need to talk about it anymore. We understand. It is amazing. Odyssey is exactly what I wanted from a Mario title, because for the last few years we got nothing but fucking 2D Mario-based games, whether it be 3D World, but 3D World is a 2D Mario-based game at the end of the day, as much as it's called 3D World. Yeah,
we'll get to the flagpole type of thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whereas with Odyssey, it was like I have a playground to run around in, and that's exactly what I wanted. So those three games, that solidified my year for me. I got my action RPG, I got my platformer, and I got my JRPG, all that I wanted in the first year. Right? Those are the things that like set me up. But then, we also had Mario Kart as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Mario Kart Deluxe.
That was a port, but it was a port of one of the best Mario Kart games to ever exist. And it came with everything. So no problems there whatsoever.
Yeah.
That immediately gave us pretty much, well, not immediately, but gave us a racing game pretty much spot on.
Yeah.
And it was a perfect one.
Came out in April, just like a month after, which is, we never get a Mario Kart game that soon after, let alone a Zelda, then a Mario Kart game, then a new IP being ARMS, then Splatoon. Like it was just like a month after month.
Yeah.
And I got to give a shout out to ARMS. That was a lot of fun to play in like the first year, and just like a really different sort of take on, I guess, like the fighting genre. And it was one of the only games, it was probably like the last major Nintendo game to be like, all right, this is the Switch using motion controls, and it did it in a pretty good way. Like
it did all right.
Like you could play it pretty much exactly the same on a Pro controller, but I feel like it was just like it was pretty fun playing it with the motion controls. But if you want, like, I dare say, if you want to be like a bit more competitive or whatever, you get your Pro controller. But it's good that the option was there, because I did quite enjoy twisting your wrist a bit, doing the punch, and you see it just like curve. It actually felt like really quite intuitive in how the motion controls worked.
Yeah.
So fantastic game, and I'd love to maybe see some more ARMS. I don't know if there's much of demand for it. It's not like Splatoon where there was a massive community around it, but those that did like the game did stick with it a long time.
I think the major problem, the fundamental problem with ARMS is that like as good as it was at launch and a unique experience as it was, it needs to evolve if it's ever going to get a sequel. Like, and there needs to be some sort of change to it that makes it fresh enough to be like sweet.
Yeah, I always compared it to like when Splatoon made its debut. It came out with a single player. It came out with a hub where you can talk to different characters, interact with different mechanics and that. Whether you're buying items or you're doing whatever. Like, there's always something to do. With ARMS, it was just like select fighting mode or go through a tournament. Like, there really wasn't that character and extra level of Splatoon. What makes it really special, I think, is it just has a sense of place. It's an online shooter, but you have like your own world. You can it feels like you're a part of, is your home. Like, it's the same place you're always logging into, and that's where you start, and you got to run up to go to play online multiplayer and stuff. And it's just like a really awesome sense of place that I think a lot of games sort of don't understand.
Style.
Yeah. Like, Mario 64 and that, like, just the castle, like, it isn't like the most detailed, like, crazy place with like a million secrets and stuff. There's a good handful of them, but it's just like a really good sense of place. You understand how cool that castle is, how big it is, how important it is to the world of Mario. And I think what's going on here? I think I just hear like a phone going off. Doesn't matter.
I think it's yours.
Yeah, I think it's just like a really important thing that when you're introducing a brand new IP or a brand new world, you need to show that world. You need to have people being invested in what that thing is, because ARMS had a lot of sort of detail in its lore and its characters and that, but you just didn't really see it apart from like cutscenes just with like a slideshow picture, pretty much. Yeah, that's all you sort of saw. So yeah, I would like to see if that was ever going to be a sequel, which I don't think it will necessarily, but that is what I'd probably like to see. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, so absolutely crazy. But any games that since 2017 that really grabbed your attention, loved? Obviously, we've got Super Smash Brothers and a lot of other titles that have jumped onto it. Any indie games or non-Nintendo games that have sort of gotten into your heart?
I really should have brought my Switch along for this so I could check, to be honest.
Yeah, I should have brought mine over. Mine's over there.
Because the thing is there is like, a lot of experiences on the Switch that I've spent so much time in, and even Pokemon, which we thought was not going to be the best, but it was going to be serviceable for what it was because it's Pokemon. That turned out to be quite the experience in its own. I was having sort of a discussion with somebody on Reddit, and they were like, their argument was like, worst game I ever bought.
Pokemon?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
They were like, worst game I ever bought. It's like...
Bought some pretty good games then.
Well, hang on. It gets better. All right. Like, worst game I ever bought. They're like, the frame drops caused me to run into some encounters that I didn't want to. Like, he was being dead serious. And it was literally unplayable. And I said...
Don't know about that.
I commented, I said, hang on. What? And he's like, the frame drops were so bad that it caused me to run into a bunch of encounters. I find that to be deterrent and unplayable. And it wastes my time. And I'm like, here's the thing though. Sword and Shield is the premier Pokemon game for not wasting your time. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, it is the fastest game to level Pokemon up in. The fastest Pokemon game to organize competitive teams. The fastest Pokemon game to get you the shiny charm. And you can avoid all encounters in Sword and Shield by walking around the Pokemon, meaning you save Pokédollars, you don't have to buy max repels, you don't have to open menus to use repels. But a couple of random encounters because of a bad frame drop is the thing that puts you off.
Yeah, so I feel like
that is a lot of arguments with Sword and Shield. I'm finding
a lot of people just want to hate it, even if it's like, I kind of enjoyed it, but I've got to point something out because I need to justify how I felt before. And I don't know, the sort of things I've never come across frame drops in that game.
Oh, I have all the time. Are you kidding? Yeah, in the wild area, definitely.
Oh, the wild, of course.
Yeah, like running into Pokemon in the wild area.
Yeah, when online's on, but I can't say I've found it so much when online wasn't on.
No, there's definitely frame drops. It drops to about 20. If you are riding at a decent speed, yes. Yeah, because it's always loading. So it drops it down to about 20. But that is the level of pettiness that people have gotten with Sword and Shield. And when you talk about the game wasting your time because your frames dropped and therefore you couldn't dodge a Pokemon and you ran into it, you're like, gee willikers. It's like literally you can walk around the Pokemon in the first place. Couldn't do that in older games, Then you've got obviously the fact that you don't have to use repels to get around Pokemon, so you're not opening menus. That already saves you time. And it also saves you money, which can be used. Like, there's a whole lot of options there.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I don't personally agree with that, but
no, there is like it is a game of conveniences, if anything. It's not the most well-crafted game in the series, but the thing I appreciate about Sword and Shield is it doesn't fucking waste my time with monotonous crap.
Yeah. It's funny because like I actually recorded an episode of the House Mario Encore. I talked about 20 minutes about sort of the lead up to Sword and Shield and the whole thing of bring back National Dex and that. And where I sort of come down on it is like, we were concerned about the game because we're like, oh, you know what, Sun and Moon and that really didn't do it for us. And I know it did it for other people in regards to story and stuff like that. And they also introduced a lot of great things. I think are awesome staples for the Pokemon series going forward. But we were concerned when we did hear about, the National Dex whole thing missing and like, oh no, I just want this game to be good. And I think that came out of a bit of fear, a bit of passion, a bit of, all these things for Pokemon. Yeah. It was never like,
this game is going to be shit. Like, it never happened that way.
Like, we're always just like, oh, we have a conversation about it and we sort of work it out. But, the games weren't perfect. But honestly, sort of looking back on it, I know you might roll your eyes at this, but I think Sword and Shield, I don't know where they would fit on like my rankings. They might be like just above halfway or something. Because I actually really did love the games, and they're probably like one of my top 3 favorite games on the Switch in general. I really loved the sort of the story of the characters and all that. And while it wasn't perfect, it's definitely the game I've spent the most time with on Switch as well. So I really do actually love Pokemon Sword and Shield. So I'm happy I could say that, after the whole covering it on 2019, going through it and be like, oh, this is fingers crossed. I hope this is gonna be right. And it turned out it was all right. And I think it sort of made me like think like, not that I wasn't thinking, because I was, but just like, all right, let's hold back our feelings a bit more and just wait. And we did do that. I feel like we didn't jump into it like a lot of people on Twitter and that, where they just like lost their shit and wanted to hate the game and let's boycott it and that. It's like, let's play it when it comes out, and if it's not the best game, let's just go and download Fortnite for free and play that instead. Like, there's a lot of other options out there, so don't get too hung up on it.
But I mean, yeah, like the thing is I it's definitely not my top 3. And I'm going to say that now. It's definitely not my top 3. It's definitely not my most meh in the series either. Yeah. When I think about Generations, I think about Generations I really do not care for. 7, 6, 4 to a degree, but that's mainly because of the region, not the Pokemon. A lot of time wasting in that region. But in terms of games that respect my time, out of every single generation of Pokemon, Sword and Shield respects it the most, because it doesn't force me to go back to the Elite Four and constantly smash them to level my Pokemon. It doesn't force me to actively seek out a single Pokemon to raise my EVs. It doesn't, Yeah,
it's night and day.
No, yeah.
Yeah, because like going back and playing Pokemon Emerald, probably my favorite game in the series. Like, I don't think that game was particularly like, we're going to waste your time, but it's just
it definitely did waste a lot of time when you think about it.
Yeah,
like if you wanted to do it to 100% completion, you needed good Pokemon, which meant EV training and decent IVs and everything like that to have a clean experience to get through everything. You did need it, and the process back in those days was very laboring. Let alone the fact that you had to beat like the battle pyramid 100 times before you could fight Brandon. Or something like that. It
wasn't that bad. It was like 20 or 30, maybe 50.
There was something that was quite big, just to get to the boss. It was like really big. I can't remember what it was.
It wasn't that many times though. That'll run your battery flat a few times.
Yeah, but this is counting like the silver medal as well and the gold medal.
Well, do you want me to look it up?
Yeah, go for it. But no, there was a lot of labouring tasks in it, in that. You know, even the pike, and the pike was what, 10? Battle pike was only like 10 to get to the leader?
Something like that, yeah. For the silver medal anyway.
For the silver medal. And that's not much, right? That was the easiest one, but that's still pretty time consuming when you think about it.
All right. So for the battle dome, you can battle the Frontier Brain, who is the leader of the Frontier. So for 10 consecutive wins, you can challenge for a silver medal. Oh no, it's only 5 consecutive wins for the silver and 10 for the gold. The battle pike for the silver is 28. And for the fucking hell, here we go. For the battle pike for the gold, it's 140. That's a lot of time. So what's the next one? So then we got 28 consecutive wins for the silver. Then we got 56 for the gold. So consecutive wins in a row. For the battle factory, 21 wins in a row. For the silver, 42 for the gold in the battle factory. The battle palace is 28 consecutive wins. For the gold, it's 42. And for the what we got for the battle pyramid, so you've got to get to the 21st floor to challenge the pyramid leader, and then for the silver, you've got to get to the 70th floor for the gold. So yeah, it depends on what sort of facility you go into. Yeah,
but that's still a lot.
Yeah, bloody oath it is. Yeah.
Like that's a lot of good end game, right? And it keeps you going, and that's wicked. But the problem is that you're going to have the decent Pokemon to tackle it. So building teams and building decent enough Pokemon to deal with each individual each individual frontier leader, that is a lot of time. But the Pokemon that you could build all those Pokemon in Sword and Shield in about 1/10 of the time, if not even less, than it would have taken an Emerald.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we'll talk about this long enough. Move on to another game.
Fucking hell.
It takes like 20 minutes for you to explain. Yes, it takes. It doesn't take that long to make a Pokemon.
All right, mate.
Sorry, mate.
Fucking hell. I'm just trying to tell you.
All right, I'm listening. I'll listen.
The reason it's good.
Yeah.
All right, move on.
So in 2018, I thought this was just like an absolute nuts year as well. Just like, I remember going through and like covering Luigi's Mansion 3 and all of the other games that come out, and at this point we had to like sort of cut a game from our coverage because we just couldn't get to them all, especially with like, you know, day jobs and family and all that in there between. So you remember Daemon X Machina? I actually never got around to it just because at this time there was just so much going on.
Yeah.
So
I wasn't that interested, to be honest.
I wasn't either, and that's why we ultimately dropped it. And
didn't bother.
Another $80 we didn't have to spend, which is all right.
It came out on other things anyway.
Yeah, it came out on Steam, which was really shocking. It sort of just dropped on there without any fanfare or anything.
I think because they assumed they were like, oh, Nintendo fans obviously don't see our envisionment. Let's put it on Steam. But I don't think it performed that great on Steam either. I just think it was like a very generic mech game that tried to capitalize on mech, like people wanting mech games, but it wasn't a great mech game. You know, when there's stuff like
Did it come
Armored
out?
Core and shit like that people are really big fans of.
Did it come out the same year as Astral Chain? Was that 2018 or was that 2019?
2019 is Astral Chain.
Yeah, because we knew about the games at similar times as well. So we're always like, Astral Chain, that's the one I want.
Yeah.
One by Platinum and one that looks really like absolutely beautiful for the Switch as well.
Yeah. And like, you know, that's the thing is that's just what it comes down to, I think, is that, you know, they really wanted to make a mech game, but unfortunately that mech game is already superseded by a mech game that is technically better and probably cheaper on most platforms. Being Armored Core.
I mean, there's a lot of them, so
Yeah, but
not on Switch really, but
no, not on Switch. And I think that's the market they tried to hit. But I just don't think anybody was too interested when there was so much good shit sort of on the horizon.
yeah.
So yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. All right, let's not go through every single game, but yeah, just an absolutely phenomenal sort of 4-year run for the Switch. And
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how many more years it lasts, whether we do get this Pro we talked about or Nintendo just goes, all right, 5 years, we got a new console. Who knows?
Yeah,
I think it's still got at least 3 years left in it.
Yeah, it's still
Same.
got a bit of time.
Yeah, same. Don't get too worried if you've just picked one up. You've still got plenty of time to go and get one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Bryce. So let's go through a couple of questions before we
Sign off.
We sign off here at the House of Mario. So, a friend of the show, Wacko Jacko, he just asked quickly thoughts on the recent Nintendo Direct and what you're looking forward to most, and what did you wish was announced. So, we've already sort of put our thoughts a couple of episodes ago on Nintendo Direct. So, but what do you wish was announced at Nintendo Direct? I think there's a pretty easy one there with Enuma rocking up, but.
Look, I always want Zelda news. I'm not like a lot of those people that are just completely and utterly disappointed that was no Breath of the Wild 2 news. I'm kind of like, come on, like stop cock teasing. But I'm not disappointed that it's not there.
Yeah, it'll be there eventually when they're ready to show it. Like if they're showing it now, everyone will be complaining because it looks underdeveloped or something. Yeah,
I don't even think it's that. I just think that.
No.
Paul James put it really precisely on Twitter. They had Pokemon the same week. They wanted a Skyward Sword to have its own limelight, and they also wanted people to know that it is coming, right? So it only makes sense for them to talk about Skyward Sword first before they talk about Breath of the Wild 2, because Breath of the Wild 2 has already been announced. And Skyward Sword's coming out sooner. So... yeah, there was no reason for them to talk about it during that direct and completely overshadow one Zelda title for another. So, yeah.
I'm going to twist the question a little bit and just go, what I wish was announced at the Pokemon Presents.
Fair enough.
The same week.
Yeah.
And I just really wanted the Pokemon collection of the older games.
Yep.
I wanted that. I wanted that so bad. And
we all did. Yeah.
it's just like, I just want to be able to play these games in a HD on TV and on my new handheld.
They really, really need to. Somebody needs to pull attention to them that people are scalping the shit out of their games and ripping people off. Secondhand wise, they are profiteering off of scalping.
Yeah, it's like if you don't want to re-release Diamond and Pearl with like the new remakes coming out, it's like I can understand that.
That's fair enough, but like Gen 5 and Gen 5, Gen 3.
Just 1, 2, 3. Like, you've got lots of generations there I'd like to see. So
because we know you're not making Gen 5 for years, like Gen 5 remakes for years. Like even just having some of them ported, like it would have saved people so many heartaches. Well, they don't even need to do Gen 3. They just need to do Gen 5, technically. If you count Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, I suppose.
Yeah, just access to the region itself.
Just access to the region. That's exactly right. But we won't see Gen 5 for years now. So it's kind of like, just do it so that people stop getting ripped off.
Especially like this year was just a perfect year to do it. Like 25 years, let's celebrate. Here's a collection.
Yeah.
Just do what every company does and everyone complains about. Oh, just another HD remaster or whatever. It's like, no, give it to us, please.
yeah.
It's a bit like what Mass Effect fans went through for years and they're finally getting theirs after EA says, yeah, right. All right, so Switchaboo, so Alex Harding, who was a guest on the House of Mario Encore, talking all about Pokemon, he asked, Switch Pro rumors, a possibility or just more baseless theories? So we've obviously talked about it, but do you see these rumors being a bit of a weight to them, or do you reckon they're just like, made up shit?
I'll be honest with you, right? Exactly what they've said is basically exactly what they've already been saying with tacked on words to them. So saying that Bloomberg is reporting on it is kind of like, oh no, well that's big. And it's like, you know what? Yeah, it probably is a little bit big, but one, we pretty much know that there's something in development at all times.
Of course, there's definitely going to be a Switch something.
Yeah. And if it's not a Switch Pro, then it is its successor, which is going to be Switch-like.
Yeah.
And that is it at the end of the day, right? So, these rumors that Samsung are working with them and like all that shit, to me doesn't sound realistic. For one, because they've already got a fucking partner in Nvidia, and that's hard enough of a baseless thing to keep up with as it is.
Yeah, Nvidia doesn't make screens though. That's the thing.
No, they don't. That is correct. But the problem is when you start commissioning all these huge name companies like Nvidia, Samsung, all of them want a huge cut, right?
Yeah, I don't know about that because like Samsung and like LG and these like companies, that's what they do. They outsource screens to phone manufacturers and all that. Like Apple doesn't make its own screens; they get other outsourced from other companies. So you know,
yes.
So it's like Nintendo. Like all of their parts are outsourced from other companies.
That's my point, though. Is that, you know, once you start building up and having all these companies and shit, obviously they don't make their own screens, right? Obviously they've been relying on shit from, you know, like GPU makers in the past and like all that shit. You got AMD, whatever.
Well, where do you reckon Nintendo gets its screens now? Then
listen, that's not the point of what I'm saying here, right? Throwing out big names, right? Throwing out big names is fodder. There is nothing to say fucking Samsung is working with anybody. Like you would with the normal consoles. They're like, well, the normal consoles, but PlayStation and Xbox, right? They've never had to encounter that problem before where they're like, oh, we need our own screen, whatever, and all that shit. Fine. Yeah. You know, because obviously Sony manufactures their own, didn't really matter for the PSP and Vita, right? They've all worked with AMD and they've done that. And if they've had anything extra else, it's probably gone into some uncredited bush. Yeah,
like with PS3 and that, they've made their own processors and stuff.
Exactly.
So yeah.
So it is like that is where you sort of sit, right? It was already a big deal that Nvidia was working with Nintendo to create the Switch and stuff like that as well. But then being like, oh, thanks to Nvidia and thanks to Samsung with their OLED screens, we're creating the most powerful piece of tech you can put in your hand ever and shit all over the floor and all that shit. Like, attaching a brand name to something basically just says, oh, look here, have expectations. No, I'm not having a fucking expectation. This could be from fucking some cheap-ass Chinese company and they're just really shit screens. You don't know that yet. You're just throwing names out there. Stop putting names on things. It was already a big enough rumor that Nintendo were working with Nvidia, but it had a base rumor because Nvidia were already working with Shield Tech, which was playing games on portable handheld, all that shit. It made sense. Saying Samsung's going to provide OLED screens for the Switch Pro has no base.
Yeah. I mean, like, what their base in the Bloomberg article was is that, like, you know, people in the know, whether it was at the company or Nintendo, said it. Yeah. Quote unquote, yes.
That's baseless.
Yeah. Well, that's...
Unless somebody fucking comes out right now and they're like, yeah, I've been working on it. There's Samsung screens. Yeah. And they say it themselves personally, it has no base.
Yeah, but you know why they don't say it, though?
Yeah, they'll get fucking fired.
Exactly.
But that's baseless.
Yeah.
Saying, oh, I know a guy that works with a friend that works with a guy in a friend, just in a friend.
Wow.
You know, that he works at Samsung and they say they're doing the new Switch screens. It doesn't, no, that's not a base. There's no base to it. A rumor's got to come from somewhere. The base is going to be revealed for it to be called a legitimate thing. So, baseless to me.
Fair enough.
Dead on. Could be an OLED screen. Nothing to say there's a Samsung OLED screen. Nothing to say that there's fucking Nvidia's working on some fucking new alien technology to create the best Switch ever made that can blow your dick.
Wow.
While you play some
This
shit.
is going somewhere weird, man.
And that's the point.
Wow, Samsung are great. I should have said, no wonder you have a Samsung phone.
I said Nvidia tech, thanks, mate. You know, but that is the thing. Is that just, you know, throwing all these big names out there just gets people far more excited than they should be about something that will probably just be pretty average. We know Nintendo.
Yeah. I'm just gonna just for the sake of just taking the complete opposite side, and we're like, oh, it's 100% going to be a Samsung screen, Bryce. 100%. These rumors are 100% true. And when we get to the end of the year and we're like, say, Bryce, we're playing on these new Samsung screens.
We might very well be. I'm not saying I'm the fucking go-getter and like a maestro. I'm just saying don't believe what is put in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
How
No
many
joke.
how many times with Nintendo have we been fucking disappointed by rumors in the last fucking 2 years with directs? Oh, there's going to be direct next week. Oh, there's going to be a direct next week. Oh, there's going to be a direct next week. Is there, guys? Is there, fucking guys? Seriously?
Nintendo comes out. Here's the direct. Mini.
I'm directly fucking you.
I don't know where you're going with this.
But no.
Sex innuendo.
But no, yeah. You know, people have not been right about Nintendo rumors persistently for the 80% persistently for the past 2 years. I'm not believing it until I see it.
Fair enough. And that's you know what? That's a good place to be. Yeah. Don't
I'm not believing it until I see it.
Yeah.
No. That's right. Yeah.
I'm not saying that I believe it either, but it's just like
Yeah.
it
Could
might be.
happen.
Could happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So company makes screens. Nintendo says, "Can you supply us screens?" They put screens in devices.
Oh yeah.
So,
By all means. But yeah, it you know, there is rumors that are believable, and there is rumors that are like, you know, that could fucking happen, but I'm not going to fucking know, and I'm probably not going to hear about it until they're actually released and read on the box, Samsung screen.
it just says Samsung screen on it.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, it's whatever, man. It's whatever.
All right, so we just got a quick question to wrap things up. So the Bethesda acquisition, will it affect games releasing on Switch?
No.
Yeah, no, very easy.
No, yeah, absolutely. It absolutely will not. Microsoft, when they acquired Bethesda, had already said that they had absolutely no plans to make anything Bethesda Xbox exclusive, unless it was like, you know, something that they were developing exclusive for Xbox. So that would be a new IP, not Elder Scrolls or Fallout or something like that. All of that, anything that you've ever... They're not going to gatekeep you from your favorite series at all.
Yeah.
If they're going to gatekeep you from anything, they're going to gatekeep you from new Bethesda IPs, which you'll have to play on Xbox.
Yeah.
And that's fair enough because they bought the fucking company.
Yeah, they're going to gradually wean everyone to play on Xbox and Game Pass. That's what their idea is. And there's only like a few things coming from Bethesda too. Like, you know, we just got like Doom Eternal, which was like a big porting job. But like the other stuff, like, you know, Doom 64 and that, like we're not getting a whole lot anyway. So like the whole conversation of the new Elder Scrolls or the next Doom or whatever, that's not a conversation we're having anyway for the Switch platform.
Yeah.
That's a conversation for Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 and PC.
See, the good thing about Microsoft at the moment is they're really broadening their horizons, which is something they failed to do with last generation because of the way Don Matrick had handled the launch and fucked the company in the butt. But with this generation, they're really broadening their horizons in not only, you know, company acquisitions and, you know, things that they can make that are exclusive to Xbox, but, you know, without hindering the people's love for older IPs or stuff like that as well. You know, they want more JRPGs to hit the system as well, so they're working more closely with, you know, Square Enix and Bandai and all that, and you know they've got the entirety, like heaps of Final Fantasy titles on Game Pass now, and they've got heaps of Kingdom Hearts titles, all of them in fact, because they're all the collections on there now. Just they're making steps forward to improve their overall experience as a brand, and they're not looking to take away from anyone else. What they're trying to do is they're trying to catch up to the variety that PlayStation has, so that when they do offer new experiences, people aren't going to feel gatekept, I guess, because they didn't choose PlayStation for the JRPGs, for example.
Yeah.
You know, they want to have that option on Xbox too, so that it's just like, if you're coming to our platform, you're definitely coming for the exclusives, you know? Or if you go to PlayStation, you're definitely going for their exclusives, not because they've got more JRPGs than us, or not because the Xbox platform has more shooters than the PlayStation does, or some shit like that. You know, it's not going to be that way. They want to catch up, and they're going to do it in such a way that they're not hindering your favorite IPs. Bethesda's still going to release Elder Scrolls 6 on PS5, and you know they're still going to do all that. They're not interested in doing that. They're interested in making new experiences, new IPs that will draw you to Xbox while also expanding their library. And the acquisition of Bethesda was a good way to do that.
Yeah, what a way to do that. Just buy one of the biggest publishers in the industry. Why not?
Yeah. And I mean, hey, power to them, because now they've got all of Bethesda's library pretty much coming to Game Pass. And that's a library full of very memorable titles to people. So...
Yeah, one of the most beloved publishers in the industry. And until a couple of years ago, I really couldn't fault them until they started making a few sort of stumbles with Fallout 76 and stuff. But anyway.
No, we don't need to talk about that.
No.
But as for Nintendo, they're not going to be affected.
No.
Whatever they can port to Nintendo, they're going to port to Nintendo because they have a great relationship with Nintendo that is unlikely to change for some time. Unless, I don't know, Microsoft's like, give us Mario or this friendship is over.
It's like, no, it's mine.
But they're not going to do that because Nintendo are the biggest brand name in video gaming since
Atari.
Since bread was to toast. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that was quite a time ago. The bread to toast debacle. You remember the bread to toast debacle?
Oh, I fucking do. Yeah.
Oh god, that was
absolutely
a big one.
But yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much to Oh shit. Let me gone to a different screen. Thank you very much to Peldy Rill on Twitter. Thank you very much. And I noticed they're following us, which is pretty cool. I've got to follow them back. Thank you very much for leaving us a question.
Beautiful.
So Bryce, that brings us to the end of this episode of the House of Mario. How do you feel about it? 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Was it too long?
It's time for me to go home.
Yeah.
My throat is dry.
I'm just like, you bloody stay here and you bloody talk to me, you bastard.
Oh, well, we made it work.
We did. All right, guys. Thank you very much for listening to the House of Mario, episode 178. If you enjoy the show, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter at iDruby. You can follow Bryce at IvyRevan, and you can follow the show at the House of Mario. You can join our Discord server where you can talk to lots of like-minded Nintendo fans in our community. Always a lot of fun. It brightens my day when I see people in there discussing. Always make an effort to go in there and even get some new faces in there. Really would appreciate some new faces in there. Always brightens my day, like I mentioned with Cappy and forgotten the name. Let me bring it up here. Forgotten your username. Sorry, man.
Our brains are both.
Baker Boy on Discord.
That's it. Yeah.
What a legend.
I knew it started with a B.
Yeah, I knew it did too. I remember the boy, didn't remember the baker.
Boy.
So yeah, definitely go and check out the Discord. Invite in the show notes below.
Mm-hmm.
And Nintendo Jukebox, Bryce, as we talked about at the start of the episode, talking about Bobby, Nintendo Guru's passing, how we're going to be giving him a bit of a tribute at the start of every episode, sharing his positivity and just general awesomeness across the internet still. But for Nintendo Jukebox, I want to play the intro to If We Ran Nintendo, which was just... Whenever I listen to the podcast, I always rewinded it again and again and again and again and again. It was such a good banger. And it was actually just made randomly by one of their community members, which was just absolutely wicked.
Yeah.
Just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So just a really special moment in Sean and Bobby's podcast history. And I'd love to share it here with you guys. I'll leave links to If We Ran Nintendo, A Cup of Joe and Nintendo, which was their podcast after they ended If We Ran Nintendo, and also go and check out Sean Capri's work as well, which I mentioned before. So guys, until next time, the doors to the House of Mario are closed. I'll catch you later.
Sayonara.
They're breaking down all the news and they're making it nice. Give Furukawa and Bowser all their business advice. Gonna answer your questions, gabbing on and on. If you like what you hear, go check out the Patreon. The Nintendo Guru, yeah, his name is Bobby. He loves all things Nintendo except maybe Kirby. And the greatest co-host in all of the land. You know it's not like Connor, it could be like the past. If we ran Nintendo.